Sir, you're charged with especially aggravated kidnapping. You're also charged with aggravated assault, and you're charged with theft of a firearm worth less than $2,500.
You're talking about stuff that is not
We will bring
relevant.
the jury.
Hello and welcome to the Court of Public Opinion. I am the Recovery Addict, and boy, do I have a case for you today.
Why is the dog chewing on this guy?
I think they have got the wrong guy
They
there.
got the wrong guy, and the dog was biting him.
He roughing him up quite a bit. There's a lawsuit.
9 out of 10 judges prefer watching the Recovery Addict live stream in their courtroom.
The fireworks are not done.
Delegating commentary on the case. Dati mihi Anglican for each verbal subject.
That's literally not true.
I didn't ask you to interrupt me.
Is that correct?
Oh, for crumb's sake.
Good morning, good morning. Welcome to the Court of Public Opinion. Holy cow, is it dark in here? Who did that? Oh my goodness. All right. We'll get this fixed here in just a second. Let's crank this camera right up. A little bit of, about 14 decibels of gain, maybe? Is that do all right? All right. There we go. Somewhat back to normal, I guess, now. You guys don't need to watch my crafting video that I was watching. I'm just going to hide that right here. All right. Good morning. How are you guys doing? Happy Monday to you. Easter Monday, says the calendar. Easter Monday. Hope you had a wonderful Easter, wonderful weekend. And it was RA in the dark. Not after dark, RA just in the dark. Still disappointed we didn't do RA after dark on Friday. It's my fault. Math has never been my strong point. And I thought for sure I heard wrong is what happened when I, on Saturday, we were invited as guests over on Courtroom Confidential. I thought that it was a nighttime show. I thought it was going to be at night, and I was just, I'm like, cool, 9 o'clock Eastern, and that's late. It's bedtime, but I'm like, I can do it. I can pull it off. And then when Tiffany sent me the links for the show, I'm looking at it. I'm looking at the times over and over, and it's like 12 Eastern, 9. I'm like, it's a midnight show for me? It's midnight? How could it be midnight? And then I'm like, no. The AMs and the PMs, they're all wrong. No, it's noon. It's noon is when it was. So yes. Hopefully you caught us over there. Loved hanging out with Josh. It was Josh is amazing. His whole team is wonderful. It's a wonder to work with them. They're just a well-oiled machine. Anyway, glad we got glad I got straightened out on the time and everything still worked out. It was great, but it was a lot of fun. I love hanging out with Josh, and he's one of the good ones, and so appreciate it. If you are here from the Courtroom Confidential collaboration, welcome. Thank you very much. I know a bunch of you came over and hit the subscribe button, so really very much appreciate that. I hope you can enjoy watching with us today, because we are going to be doing some watching today, and hope you're in for it. So, let's see. It was a good show. I was there, says Lisa B. Wonderful. Let me first welcome those who must be welcomed, and starting with Irish Leone. Irish Leone, we're first in chat. Congratulations today. Congratulations, and also good riddance, because we're going to punish you for your promptness. Everything IP-related worldwide is your responsibility for the rest of the day. He's going to do great. He can do great. Who are the bad ones? I've got a list. I got a list for you, Schmoopy. Happy Monday. Here's what our schedule is today. We're watching court. The Hawaii court is not being held today, but we're a little teensy bit behind, and we're going to catch up before closing start tomorrow at 3 p.m. Eastern. That's going to mess with our schedules for sure. But we're going to get caught up before then. So if you're here for that, welcome. We're going to get that kicked off in a little bit, but we have some other things to do first. Like recognize some important people like Lee the OG, who's been a member for 38 months. OG, 38 months. Seems like only 37. Lee, it's funny how, that's funny. That's just funny all across the board. Congratulations, Lee. Thank you very much. Lena H., Member for 30 months. Says it's been a short 30 months. Love it here. It's been short. All right. We also have Josh who came in with the birthdays. Yes, we celebrate birthdays every day. And guess what? Today, Laura, Arik. I said that right the first time. Cruiser Chris World Network. Maria and the Squishes. What? Is that like, that sounds like a band. Maria and the Squishes. Seda, like the drive, hard drive. Stacy and Tom, heavenly birthday. These are the birthdays we're going to celebrate today. You guys are tripping me up. These are some long names. Cruiser Chris got the whole World Network in there. So we're gonna try to fit everybody's name into this birthday song. And by we, I mean all of us, wherever you are. If it's legal and you're able, please stand up, take a deep breath, shoulders back, project your voice to the back of the room, blend your voice with your neighbor, and warm up with me if you will. La 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 la. Here we go. You can sing happy birthday to these fine folks. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to Laura, Arik, Chris World Network, and Maria and the Squishes. Happy birthday to you. Okay, we got to Maria and the Squishes. Now we have Seda, Stacy, and Tom for verse number 2. A little interlude here.
Happy birthday. You look good.
You look good. Mm-hmm. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to Seda, Stacy, and Tom. Happy birthday to you. Laura, Arik, Cruiser Chris World Network, Maria and the Squishes, Seda, Stacy, and Tom. Happy birthday. There are many wonderful days, but today is your special day. And I realize there are a million places you could have been and a million people you could have celebrated with, but you chose to be here with us. The privilege, pleasure, the honor, the joy is ours. Hopefully we can turn that joy back to you, make your day just a little more specialer. Begin by helping yourself to free pancakes at Denny's, IHOP, Village Inn, Waffle House, McDonald's, Tammy Dunlap's House, Andy's Grill, Bob Evans, and Cracker Barrel. Melissa P., thank you for including your dad's heavenly birthday on this. Thinking of him today. Happy birthday all. As the dancers continue, the party horns ring out, and of course, all the pancakes you can handle. I got to give a special shout out to my wife who woke up bright and early, well before I did, and made me just a delicious breakfast. Toasted bagel, sausage, scrambled eggs. It was delicious. Didn't have pancakes, but it was the next best thing. Tammy Dunlap's are the best pancakes. They are. You have to go to Germany to get them now because she moved, though. But, okay, drum solo for the big finish. Here we go. Alrighty, that completes the morning routine, and we're ready to kick off court, thoroughly warmed up and ready for whatever action may come our way. Let me tell you what our schedule looks like today. Because I'm still broken, I still have to go to the doctor this afternoon. That's at 5:30, so I have to leave here by 5 because it's half an hour away. We are going to watch, I believe, on 1.25 speed. Let me just confirm. For inquiring minds, 1.25 speed. We're going to watch day 7 and I think we're going to get through some of day 8. Just for those that are doing the counting, we are just a teensy bit behind. There's just 2 days between us and live. And tomorrow we have all day until 3 p.m. Eastern time before Hawaii starts live with closings. So we can do just one day. We can do an actual speed, and we can get caught up. So do you want to do high speed? Do you want to do high speed, or do you want to do regular? Heather from Texas has been here much longer, 4 months. Oh, of course, Heather, you have. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. It's been a great 4 months as well. Let's see. I have a couple others that I think I missed here. Just one second. Oh, man, did I ever. Going way back. Josh Hutchins, welcome as an attorney. Josh, thank you very much for your support. Thank you, our fabulous mod as well, and the great finder of trials all over the U.S. Kim R16, excuse me, member for 34 months. Woohoo, favorite place to be on the daily YouTubes. Thank you, RA and mods, for such a great community. Thank you, Kim, for making it great, because it wouldn't be the same without you here. Just Stephanie W, member for 25 months, says absolutely love the channel and people. Thanks for that. The people here are great. I love it. Lee the OG, we talked about him, 38 months. You don't get much more OG than that, Lee. Thank you very much. Lena H, member for 30 months, another OG. Short 30 months. Love it here. Kelly H, member for 15 months. Love this community. Kelly, I love that you love it. We love that you're here. Thank you very much. Been a big part of that. And then Heather in Texas has been here for much longer than 4, but we'll celebrate the 4+. 4+ for you, Heather. All right. Y'all ready? Y'all ready? High speed, regular speed. Man, Melissa, I'm with you on that one. Let's see. We can just adjust the speed. Let's do that. Let's take it. Let's take it at 1.25 and see if it sounds a little fast. We'll slow it down. I don't want to miss anything, especially because
remember in the beginning when we started 110 years ago.
Yeah. Yes, I do recall that, and it was exactly 110 years ago today. But we're gonna get started here, and boom, boom, boom. We're on 7. Give us some audio. Where's our video? Everything reset. That's nice. I accidentally kicked the power. Well, I had help, but I kicked the power that shut everything down in my studio yesterday. Not the good shutdown. Not when you like power everything off nicely and gently. Just like yank the plug out of the wall.
Have them send someone with more.
That's what I was thinking. All right, just give me just 1 second. We need the counter there. So 3 is 7. 4 is MP2. Oh, MP1. Wait for it. This is all very important stuff. I have to get this right so it doesn't mess up. Media. Okay. Where's MP1? My camera 3 is not working right. We'll get that fixed. There's our counter. All right, we have an objection counter going right now. It's up to 74. Let's see if we can get everything on the screen quite the way it's supposed to. And let's kick off court, shall we?
Versus Gerhard Koenig, 1 CPC-25-373 for further jury trial. Counsel, can I have your appearances, please?
Good morning, Your Honor. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Deputy Prosecuting Attorney Joel Dornan.
That's too fast for me today.
Deputy Prosecuting Attorney Franklin Don Carl Jr.
Good morning, Mr. Bonner. Good morning, Mr.
It's too early for that speed.
Good morning, Your Honor. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Thomas Otake and Matt Dirks on behalf of Gerhard Koenig, who is present.
Good morning, Mr. Otake. Good morning, Mr. Dirks. Good morning, Dr. Koenig.
Good morning, Your Honor.
Gentlemen, all of you can be seated. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, good morning to all of you. Welcome back to Courtroom 15. We will, I believe, continue on with the presentation of evidence in this case. Mr. Otake, you indicated the defendant wished to present evidence in this case. You may call your first witness.
Thank you, Your Honor. We will call to the stand Mr. John Charles Bustler II. And I think Mr. Dirks is grabbing him.
All right, so where we are, we have the defense case is beginning with their first witness today.
Right up there. See you right there. Thank you. And then she's going to give you an oath. Okay. Thank you.
Raise your right hand, please.
You do solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
I do.
Please have a seat. Mr. Otake, whenever you're ready.
Okay, good morning, sir. If you could please state your full name for the jury and for the record.
John Charles Bustler II. I go by Chuck.
You go by Chuck? Is it okay if I call you Chuck?
Yeah.
Okay, Chuck, are you associated with a restaurant called Fett here in Honolulu?
Yes, I'm the owner.
You're the owner?
Yeah.
Okay. Tell us, well, first of all, is it F-E-T-E? Is that how you spell it?
Yes, this first E has a circumflex over it.
Okay.
So,
A what?
But it's pronounced
Fet.
Fet.
Yeah.
And tell the jury, what kind of restaurant is Fet, and where is it located?
It's in Chinatown, New Anuan Hotel. It's farm to table, New American. My wife is also the chef there. She's the Hawaiian chef who won the James Beard Award 3 years ago.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that.
I love the
you guys
humble
pretty
brag.
popular restaurant, award-winning restaurant.
Yes.
And your wife, what's your wife's name?
Robin Mai.
And she won the James Beard Award.
Yes.
Okay, pretty popular place nowadays.
We're doing all right.
Okay,
Yeah,
good.
yeah.
Sir, in the course of your business, do you keep records of reservations?
Yes. So we use a platform called Open Table, which if you've been out to eat, there's probably one of two platforms you use most. That's the largest in the world. So that integrates with a lot of our systems, including our point of sale system as well.
And did you receive a subpoena from my office in this case for the reservation records for the night of March 24th, 2025?
Yes.
Okay. Can I approach, Your Honor?
Yes.
With what has been marked as Defense 137. Okay.
Yes.
What kind of restaurant do they
Okay, so I'm
serve?
going to show you
Or
this.
what kind of food do they serve at the restaurant? Sorry.
Is that the reservation record from your restaurant from March 24th, 2025?
Yes.
Okay. And is this a fair and accurate depiction of the reservation records you turned over to us?
Yes.
Okay. And sir, in looking at, well, why don't we publish it, Mr. Dirks, please?
No, not in evidence.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Not in evidence.
Thank you, Your Honor. We moved D-137 in, offered D-137 into evidence.
Mr. Carter. No objection. Order the mark for identification as defendant's exhibit D-137 is received into evidence.
Okay, could we please publish it, Your Honor?
Now you can.
Mr. Dirks, can you blow up the portion there? Okay, let's blow up can you blow up the whole line, or no?
Blow up's the wrong word.
Okay, yeah.
Blow up is for bouncing
Okay,
castles
so you
and
see
bombs.
at 6:30 p.m. on March 24th, 2025, was there a reservation for Gerhard Koenig for 2?
Yes.
Okay, and that was made through this platform prior to that night, correct?
Correct.
All right. And it turned out it was a no-show according to your records, yes?
Yes.
Okay, we can take that down. Okay, sir, thank you very much for coming down here this morning. That's all the questions I have for you.
Thank you for catering the jury today, sir.
You want this?
He's like, that's all? I don't get to talk about my menu? We brought samples.
Mr. Carter, any cross-examination?
Yes.
Please.
Okay. Good morning, sir.
Hi.
You said that the program or software that your restaurant uses is called Open Table. Is that right?
Correct.
And you said that was a kind of industry-leading software for getting reservations?
Yes.
Okay. How does a person make a reservation on Open Table?
A few different ways. They can either call in and we make it for them and we program it in or we schedule it in, or they can do it online through either the app or the website.
Do you know how the reservation was made with regards to this case?
From your document, I don't see that, but I can look on real quick and I can tell you if it's made either through calling us, because it'll say in-house call, or if it was made digitally through a website.
Just
So
gonna
could I bring you the exhibit then that we've just shown you?
Sure.
And would that tell you?
Sure.
Just gonna bust out your
let me-
phone?
Let me double check. Yeah.
I'll approach with Defense 137, please.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it does say it. So this says we made it through our network. That means that they called in.
Okay, so it was a phone call reservation.
A phone call, or somebody stopped by and made it, like talk to somebody at the front or something like that.
Got it. So essentially an in-house reservation.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm mistaken. No, that means the phone in-house is that one. Your network means it came through our website linked to OpenTable. That's what that means.
Got it. Okay, and I'm going to leave the exhibit
that your
up
final
there with
answer,
you just
sir?
in case I have more questions about it, okay?
Okay.
So then, looking at this, your business record, that means that the reservation that we're talking about here today for Gerhard Koenig was made.
That'll say your network. And the reason why it distinguishes that is we're charged a different amount. Your network, we're not charged. The other one is a random search, and they see that as marketing.
Got it. Okay. And again, just sorry to keep clarifying this. So the reservation for Gerhard Koenig was, quote, your network. Is that right?
Correct.
Okay, that means that the person who made that reservation would have gone onto the website for FET. Is that right?
It has to be affiliated somehow with FET, yes.
Okay. How does somebody make that reservation through your website? What sort of information do they have to fill out?
Let's say you are looking, you want to go to FET. You're like, oh, how do I make a reservation? Different people use different reservation systems. They click on our website. If you are on our cell phone version of the website, it'll say book now or make reservation or something like that. If you're on the desktop version, it has a button in a different place. But basically, they both say make a reservation.
I'm really getting at here, sir, is it's easy to make a reservation, right?
Yes.
You want it to be easy for customers to make reservations so that you can get more business, right?
Yes.
Okay. It only takes a couple minutes to make a reservation, right?
Yeah. I mean, as long as you know how to use a computer, yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. And what is your cancellation policy?
We don't have one.
You don't have one?
No.
Okay. Does this
So you're not
reservation system you have send any confirmation texts or emails on the day of?
It sends a confirmation email, I believe, the day before, and a confirmation text either the day before or day of, depending on how far in advance it is. And then it sends a reminder. And then for us, if somebody's running late, then we can actually manually send your table is ready quote to them.
Okay. All right. I know you said you don't have a cancellation policy. Just to be clear, there's no like, you got to pay $50 if you cancel?
No, we don't charge anybody to make a reservation. I hate that personally. I like people to want to come to our restaurant, and I feel like they're penalized if something comes up at the last minute, because it does happen all the
Policy
time.
might change, I guess.
Okay. Thank you for answering my questions, sir. No further questions.
Just very brief follow-up.
Susan, thank you.
Sir, Mr. Gardner, the prosecutor, was asking about how it's pretty easy to make reservations and how you can do it pretty quickly. When we were talking this morning, when you got here, were you able to determine when this reservation was made?
Yes.
And was it, I think you told me it was like March 18th or something like that?
It was a week before.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Any recross?
No, thank you.
Mr. Russell, thank you very much for being here.
Okay. Thank you.
What's our first step?
Okay.
Okay, thank you. You can go. Yeah, thank you.
You can go, he says. Thank you, you can go. Please leave now. We're done with you. Go make us some food. We have a reservation.
Present any other witnesses?
Yes, Your Honor. At this time, we will call Dr. Jonathan Ayden to the stand.
Dr. Jonathan Ayden. Pretty sad. He's trying to come across as a very upscale, posh restaurant, requires reservations, but no cancellation policy. People reserve and cancel all the time.
Could you raise your right hand, please?
Yes, sir. Do you solemnly swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give should be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you. Have a seat.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right. Good morning, sir.
Morning.
Could you please state your full name for the record and for the jury?
I'm Dr. Jonathan Ayden, A-R-D-E-N.
And Dr. Ayden, are you a medical doctor?
I am.
Where do you reside?
In Fort Lauderdale, Florida.
I'm going to walk through a little bit of your experience and qualifications for a few minutes, sir. Where did you go to medical school?
I attended and graduated from the University of Michigan Medical School. I graduated in 1980.
1980. Did you do a residency after graduating?
I did 2 residencies, actually.
In what field?
The first was a 3-year program in anatomic pathology at the New York University Medical Center in New York City. And the second was a 1-year program in forensic pathology at the Office of the Chief Medical Examiner for the state of Maryland.
Okay. I'm going to take those one at a time. Could you tell the jury, please, what is anatomic pathology?
To begin, the field of pathology in general is the medical specialty that studies the changes in the form or function of the human body or its components. And by changes, I'm talking about the effects of disease or injury. Anatomic pathology is the medical specialty that studies the changes of the anatomy, the structures of the body, and that includes things that you can see with the naked eye, hold in your hands, and some things that require a microscope to be examined. Forensic, I'm sorry.
And so that's anatomic pathology,
Yes.
and you did a residency in that, is that right?
I did.
And then what is forensic pathology?
Yes, forensic pathology takes the broad background of general medicine and anatomic pathology and then applies it primarily to the investigation and certification of certain types of deaths. Forensic pathology mostly studies deaths that occur either by violence, meaning any kind of death caused by an injury, and also deaths that occur suddenly and unexpectedly, so people who die in public, outside of medical care, that kind of thing.
Okay. Are you board certified in any fields of medicine?
I am board certified by the American Board of Pathology in both anatomic and forensic pathology.
How long have you been board certified in those fields?
Since 1985.
And you've been board certified consistently since then?
Yes, I have.
So that's
40
years.
Yeah, about 41 years, yes.
Okay. Are you currently licensed to practice medicine in any states?
I am.
How many?
I'm currently licensed to practice medicine in 5 states, those being Florida, West Virginia, Maryland, and New York. My New York license, to be technical, is in an inactive status, but legally I'm still licensed.
Okay. Have you practiced medicine in the field of forensic pathology for the last 40 years?
Yes, I'm going on about 42 years of practicing forensic pathology.
Now, I wanted to ask you, you mentioned forensic pathology often dealing with people who have passed away. Is part of your practice as well as a forensic pathologist evaluating injuries for people who lived?
Yes, although the vast majority of the practice of forensic pathology involves figuring out how and why people died under those circumstances, forensic pathology is the only medical specialty that routinely deals with injury analysis, trying to assess injuries for how they occurred, sometimes issues like how old they are, what effects they have on people, because in order to figure out if a person died from injuries, you have to be able to analyze and determine what the effects of those injuries are on the person while alive to figure out did they or did they not explain the death. So injury analysis in living people is part of what forensic pathology does, although in fairness, it's a much smaller component. Most forensic pathologists spend most of their time dealing with death cases, as do I. But many of us and many government offices of forensic pathology do apply that expertise to injuries in living people.
Okay. You talked about 40 years of practicing medicine. For the first 20 years or so, what did you generally do for the first 20 years of your practice?
The first 20 years of my career after training, I served as a government-employed full-time medical examiner in 4 different offices. I was in an office in Suffolk County, Long Island, New York, for a little less than 2 years. I served in the medical examiner's office in Delaware for 3 years. I then spent 9 years in the office of chief medical examiner for the city of New York, where I rose through various titles, and actually for the majority of that time, I was either the first deputy chief medical examiner, the second in command to that system, or actually for a few years before I got the title officially, I was acting in that position. So I spent 9 years in New York City, and then I was the chief medical examiner in Washington, D.C. for about 5.5 years.
Okay. You know, I want to ask you about your work for the government. During those years you just mentioned and in those positions, would you have to testify in court?
Yes, actually, especially in the latter two positions, quite frequently.
And in those positions and when you would testify in court, was it typically for the prosecution?
Yes, during the 20 years of government service, almost every time I appeared in court, I was called by the prosecution in criminal matters.
Okay. Now, after that, did you at some point start something called Ayden Forensics?
Yes, I did.
And tell the jury, what is that?
After 20 years of full-time government service, I then pretty much went out on my own, and I now have a a consulting practice in forensic pathology and medicine, the kind of work that brings me here today. And for most of that's been now, we're getting to about 22 years. It's been under my corporate name of Ayden Forensics. So that Ayden Forensics is my consulting practice in forensics.
Okay. And in your consulting practice, providing consultation and opinions in cases, roughly how many times have you served as an expert witness?
Well, I know I've been under oath, whether it's in trial, grand jury, deposition, hearings, well over 900 times in my career. Okay. That includes both the government service and the consulting years.
900?
Have you been qualified as an expert in state courts across the country?
I have.
Roughly, a lot, or?
I've lost track, somewhere around 25 or 30 states, federal courts around the country, several military courts-martial.
Okay. Now, even now in private practice, do you at times testify for the prosecution?
Yes, in the criminal consulting aspect, most of the work is for defense counsel because the prosecutors generally have the medical examiner. I do get consulted occasionally by prosecutors and then occasionally asked to testify. As recently as last month, I was called to the stand by the prosecution in the city of Portsmouth, Virginia. That prosecuting office has hired me for review of a series of older cases, several of which have now resulted in testimonial appearances, including one last month.
And are you part-time? Do you have a part-time appointment with any state agencies right now?
I do. I have a part-time appointment as a forensic pathologist for the Office of the Chief Medical Examiner for the state of West Virginia, and it's a very small part of what I do, but it is still an active appointment.
Okay. Your Honor, at this time I move to qualify Dr. Ayden as an expert in the medical field of forensic pathology with emphasis on providing injury assessments of the living.
Whoa. Emphasis on the living what? They want to voir dire. Defense is offended at the fact that they're going to voir dire. Whatever, you voir dired so many witnesses yourself.
Dr. Ayden, good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Okay, I want to ask a couple follow-up questions about the qualifications you were just talking about, okay?
Yes, sir.
All right, so you said that you primarily deal with death cases, is that right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, could you tell us, percentage-wise, how many cases, what percentage of cases do you deal with that involve death investigations?
I don't have an exact number for you. It's a very high percentage. I mean, the death cases, both as a medical examiner in my career and as a consultant, somewhere in the high 90s in the percentage.
Okay, so high 90s percentage for cases involving death.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Like 99?
Obviously, that means very low percentage of cases involving investigating an injury for a surviving person. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
And the second thing I wanted to ask, you were asked about your move to consulting, right?
Yes, sir.
All right. And since you've moved to consulting, you testified that you primarily testify for the defense. Is that right?
Well, Your Honor, this isn't voir dire. This is cross. So if it's not to his expertise in the field of medicine, this should be handled on cross-examination. Continue.
Well,
can we approach?
Whoa. This defense attorney, Otaki, Tommy, runs this courtroom. And here he is. He's like, Judge, this is crossing. This is not voir dire. This is not voir dire. This is cross. You're asking about his experience. It's definitely voir dire. The judge rules on it. And he's like, can we approach? Why? Because he doesn't like the judge's ruling, and he's going to argue against it again. Even though he's already made the objection, the judge considered it, overruled. Now he gets his second bite at the apple, and he's done this all throughout the trial. If he doesn't like the ruling, may we approach? Let's see if the judge changes his mind here, as he has some other times. This is nuts. We can skip ahead. I don't think this is going to be a long one. Tommy wants his way. Yeah, no spoilers, please. We're getting caught up rapidly. We'll be caught up before closings, which start tomorrow afternoon, 3 p.m. for those of us on the East Coast of the U.S. It's not even outside scope. I know, Katrina. This is so a perfectly appropriate question. Closings are tomorrow. Yep. Tantrum Tommy. You've got a name for him. Tommy Wawa. You guys be nice. Be nice. He's doing a good job for his client. I mean, Gerhardt can't complain, right? He's got an attorney that is a fighter in his corner, and every defendant should have that. Let's see. We might skip ahead. Take a drink from the fire extinguisher real quickly. If you can get it open. Sorry, it's a little tight. If you need somebody to help to open it, let me know. What's the sticker say on here? Oh, it's just a sunshine sticker. Are you okay? Is he slurping? I think we need sound effects there. I need to play the song so the greeners can find out what the case is about. I think I'll put... He's very thirsty. I've never seen a defendant be able to drink out of a water bottle like that in court before. It's always just a cup or a bottle of water. But Hawaii does it different, I guess. Let's skip ahead just a teensy bit because we can. Oh, that was the end. So. All right, they're done.
Dr. Ayden, just to take a step back since it's been a minute. You were asked to speak about your qualifications a couple minutes ago. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
And during that time, you were asked to speak about how much time you've testified for the prosecution and how much times you've prosecuted, or how much you testify for the defense. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Sorry for stumbling. And you were asked about your transition from government work to consulting. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And then since you've transitioned to the consulting being your primary practice, you testify primarily for the defense. Is that right?
In half of my consulting. What didn't come out in the prior questioning is that my consulting work is split about 50-50 between civil and criminal work. So in the criminal side, half of my consulting work, I testify mostly, almost entirely, to be honest, for the defense because that's who needs to hire me most of the time. So yes, within that half of my consulting work, the vast majority is defense, not prosecution.
Okay. Thank you for clarifying that, Dr. Ayden. With regards to this witness's qualifications to provide opinion testimony, the state has no further questions and no objection.
Then, ladies and gentlemen of the jury,
we have an expert.
Will be allowed to provide opinion testimony in the field of medicine with the specialties in anatomical and forensic pathology. You continue.
So, Dr. Ayden, when you just said that you testify primarily for the defense, in criminal cases nowadays because that's who needs to hire you. Do you mean that's because the prosecution typically has their own medical examiners, experts to work with them?
Exactly, yes.
Okay. And for 20 years of your life and your career, that's what you did. You testified for the prosecution almost exclusively, correct?
Correct.
Now, when you say that, 90 whatever percent of your work through the years has been on death cases, you explained that part of evaluating a death case is having to understand and know about how injuries affect the living, correct?
That's exactly right.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
The lead-in is terrible.
Now, Dr. Ayden, in your consulting work, you obviously charge for your time to review materials and provide opinions, yes?
I do.
Does that fact that you're being paid affect your medical opinions?
No. My opinions are what they are, and they're based on the facts. They're based on sound medicine and science, and I will reach the same opinion no matter who hires me. I mean, my opinions weren't altered when I was being paid by the government either.
Okay. And do you often tell a party that is, either hired you or looking to hire you, do you often tell a party that you cannot provide the opinions they're looking for?
Oh, on many, many occasions. Many consultations in my field result in opinions that don't support the side that hired me. My role is to try to help them as best I can, but again, strictly based on the facts and good medicine. So if the facts and the medicine are against them, I can advise them. I can help them deal with that, but I can't offer them an opinion that they want to put on the stand, for instance.
And you are getting paid by the defense in this case, correct?
Yes, sir.
Now, in fact, over the last 20 years, you provided opinion and testimony in one other case that I was working on, correct?
That's correct. That's about 10 years ago.
Dr. Ayden, when I reached out to you in this case, what were you asked to do?
When you reached out to me for this case, I was asked to assess the injuries that Ms. Koenig had and to compare them to the accounts of how the injuries occurred and to determine the nature and severity of those injuries and whether they did or did not match the accounts for how they occurred.
Wow.
In order to help you do that, did you review certain materials?
I did.
By the way, did you prepare a report in this case?
I did.
And are all the opinions that you're giving today and you gave in your report given to a reasonable degree of medical probability?
Yes, they are.
I'm going to ask you what you reviewed. Would it be helpful to see the list included in your report?
It would.
This is his report, which is Exhibit D85. May I approach, Your Honor? You may.
I was going to say whether or not her injuries are consistent with her story.
Yes, it is.
And I think on one of the pages, does it have the materials you reviewed?
Yes, on page 2 of the report, it does include the list of materials I've reviewed.
Okay, could you please let the jury know what you reviewed in this case before rendering your opinions?
Are you going to
Yes, first of all, I reviewed various documents from the Honolulu Police Department. Those included statements and documents related to statements from a Sarah Buxbaum, an Amanda Morris.
Those are the two nurses.
A statement of Ariel Koenig.
Ariel.
I then was also provided the transcript, the written transcript of recorded interviews of Ms. Koenig. There were 4 of those at different dates. Also provided photographs of Ms. Koenig and Dr. Koenig and the scene and some of the evidence. And then there's a physician's report that was filled out by 2 of the physicians at the Queens Medical Center. That's actually a police document. There was also an investigation report from the prosecutor's office here. And then there were medical records for Ms. Koenig, first from the Queens Medical Center, and then from her primary physician, that was the Kaiser Permanente physician. And then finally I was provided transcript of the grand jury proceedings.
Okay. Thank you, sir. I'll just leave a report. Is it okay if I leave the report up there with him, Your Honor? Yes. All right. So, getting into your opinions in this case, Doctor, I want to ask you a few questions. You saw in the documentation, and you referenced in your report, that Ms. Koenig had a stellate laceration to her scalp. Is that right?
That's correct.
I want to ask you some general questions about stellate scalp lacerations first, and then get into the specifics of the injury, okay?
Yes, sir.
Doctor, one of the things you note in your report is that scalp lacerations are notorious for substantial bleeding. Can you explain this to the jury and why that is the case, and what you mean by scalp lacerations are notorious for substantial bleeding?
A little bit of leading there.
Yes. To begin with, just in case terms have not been properly defined, laceration, by its very definition, is a blunt impact injury in which, by the nature of the impact, their soft tissue gets torn or split open. Yeah. So a scalp laceration is therefore laceration of the scalp on the head. Now, you ask about the excessive bleeding. The scalp tissue is what we call, in medical terminology, highly vascularized.
What do you mean by that? Highly vascularized?
Excuse me. That's fancy language for it has a great deal of blood supply. So, if you damage the scalp tissue, which has a great deal of blood supply, it will bleed excessively. In fact, scalp lacerations are notorious for bleeding tremendously. This is excuse me, something that's even, for many people, common knowledge, that if you
working these coughs
get an impact to your head, if you split open the scalp, even a small laceration tends to bleed tremendously, and sometimes it looks pretty horrific.
I know you have a cough.
Yes, thank you
so much. I'm going to hand you this water.
Thank you. I've been, my apologies, I've been fighting
is that Deer Park?
Sinus and bronchitis thing for a while.
Okay. Given what you just described about scalp lacerations being kind of notorious for substantial bleeding, my next question is the amount of blood from a scalp laceration a good indicator of how serious the injury medically is?
No. And in fact, that's exactly the point when I talk about excessive bleeding even from a small scalp laceration, namely that if a small one will bleed tremendously and there'll be blood on the head and running down the face and it looks horrible, to put it simply, that doesn't mean that is a serious injury. It doesn't mean that there's anything life-threatening about that injury per se. It's an artifact of the fact that those scalp lacerations are known to bleed so excessively.
Okay, for example, let's pull up S15 if we can, Mr. Dirks. This is a photograph in evidence, and you see how, Doctor, there's a lot of blood. It looks horrible.
It does.
Again, in this case, when you saw the photographs, but then also reviewed the medical records and particularly the information provided by Dr. Grosjean and Dr. Whitney and the Queen's medical staff. In this case, after you saw the bloody photos, in your opinion, does the amount of blood in this case accurately convey how serious the injury is medically?
No, in my opinion, it definitely does not accurately convey the severity or the seriousness of that injury.
Okay, thank you. We're going to get into that a little more in a second, but generally speaking, what is a stellate laceration?
Stellate is an anatomical term that describes the configuration of certain injuries. And the word stellate means star-shaped. So you can see this with some lacerations. Just as an aside, it's not related to this case, you can see this with certain kinds of gunshot wounds where you have, instead of a very simple laceration, which will look like a line, it's a line of interruption of the tissue or splitting of the tissue. Instead of that, the stellate laceration looks star-shaped, so it will have limbs of laceration extending in multiple different directions from the center.
Okay. You had a chance to see the photographs of Miss Koning's scalp laceration, correct?
I did.
And did you also review the available medical records that was provided by the state to us?
Yes, sir.
Now, two Queens doctors testified and also filled out an HPD form, Honolulu Police Department form, that Ms. Koning's scalp injuries in this case did not create a substantial risk of death and did not rise to the level of serious bodily injury. Do you, after your review, doctor, in your opinion, do you agree with the Queens doctors in that regard?
I do, very much so.
And can you please explain why you believe that her scalp injury did not create a substantial risk of death and did not rise to the level of serious bodily injury?
Well, the first question is the easier one because it's very straightforward. The scalp laceration that she had, even though it was stellate, even though it was fairly large in comparison to the front left side of her head where it was, only injured soft tissue. You think about the anatomy of the head, the scalp is basically a specialized form of skin and the tissue beneath it. Then you have the skull bone. Then inside the cranial cavity formed by the skull bone, you have the brain. And in her case, the medical records demonstrated quite clearly that all of the injury was to the scalp itself.
You meaning the soft tissues?
Exactly, the skin and the tissue underneath it. We all have a layer of fatty type tissue called subcutaneous tissue. Subcutaneous means under the skin. So the scalp is both of those, the skin and the subcutaneous, and that's all that was injured. The bone wasn't fractured, the brain wasn't injured, there was no bleeding around the brain, anything like that. So simply having a soft tissue injury that requires cleaning out and sewing up is not a life-threatening injury.
Okay. Next, and again, you agree with the Queen's doctors when they checked off the part about it didn't rise to the level of serious bodily injury, correct?
Right, because you'll see in that form the questions about the serious bodily injury had to do with prolonged or permanent disfigurement, prolonged or permanent loss of function of part of your body, and a soft tissue laceration, even a big one, doesn't cause any of those things.
Okay.
So it didn't rise to that level.
Now, doctor, the Queen's doctors also both checked off the box that said she did not have a serious concussion. Did you also agree with that?
I did.
Now, doctor, were you also asked to provide opinions as to whether Ms. Koning's injuries were consistent with what she reported?
Yes, I did arrive at such opinions.
And did you review her multiple statements given to the police to do so?
Yes, sir.
And you mentioned the grand jury and things like that, right?
Yes, I did.
Now, in those statements, you noted she reported that she was hit with a rock up to 10 times, and at times she said full blast, 100% of his power, all over her head. As an expert in the field of forensic pathology, in your opinion, were her injuries consistent with her statement that she was hit up to 10 times full blast with 100% of his power?
No, sir, they were not.
And why not?
Well, several reasons.
What
First
if
of
it's just
all,
a weakling?
the injury she has is largely localized. It may be stellate, but it's still largely localized. Almost all of the impact injury she has is localized to one area of the head. So it's not consistent with all over the head. Frankly, it's also not consistent with likely being up to or around 10 impacts. It's consistent with fewer impacts. And the other thing is the part of the element in your question about full blast, using all of his strength with the rock. That would very likely result in more severe injury.
Okay.
It would likely result in skull fracture. It would likely result in bleeding around the brain or brain injury itself.
Okay. Now, you indicated, not consistent with, up to or close to 10 blows. In your report, did you say that, you say in your report that your opinion is that it reflects several impacts at most. If you can explain what you meant by that.
Yes. What I intended to convey with that wording of several impacts is that, in my opinion, that stellate laceration is most consistent with being approximately 2 to 3 impacts with the rock.
Okay. So possibly 2?
Yes.
But to be fair, you indicated that looking at it, possibly could be 3, right?
Yes. My best estimate is approximately 2 to 3 as being most likely.
Okay, thank you.
Let's underline the 2.
And that's after looking at her statement. I mean, that's actually after studying the photographs and whatnot, yes?
Correct.
It started with 1.
In the statements that you were provided, did you see where Ms. Coney was telling the detective that her back of the head was being bashed against the ground?
Yes, she did state that.
And did you find any injuries to be consistent with that statement?
No. She had said being grabbed by the hair and having her head bashed into the ground, the back of her head. There's no description of any injury to the back of her head in the medical records, nor were there any brain injuries. There's a particular pattern of brain injuries that could occur if the moving head strikes the stationary ground, such as being bashed into the ground that way, and she didn't have any of those either.
Okay. And to be fair, I should ask you this earlier. I mean, to be fair, it was a complex laceration on her scalp. Yes.
Oh yes, sir.
Okay. Now, you mentioned in your report an injury to her eye, and I want to ask you about. You made some comments about her eye injury. Are the orbital bones around the eye thin and fragile?
Some of them are. The orbit is the eye socket, and some of the bones that form the eye socket, especially the roof of the eye socket, as we call it, those are very thin, fragile bones that can be easily broken.
Okay. All right, doctor. Have all the opinions you have given today been given to a reasonable degree of medical probability?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Okay, prosecution, clean this one up.
Mr. Barnett, cross-examination. Yes, take just a moment to set up.
I'm sorry, I had one last question. I apologize. I meant to ask you this. I missed it. You reviewed the Queen's HPD report and from the 2 doctors, yes?
Yes, sir.
And do you believe generally your opinions are pretty much consistent with what the Queen's treating doctors said?
Yes, my opinions are consistent with their opinions.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Whenever you're ready, Mr. Barnett.
Okay, I'll still take just a moment.
Take your time.
All right, prosecution will take just a moment to get prepped here for a cross of this doctor. Mr. Garrigg's pulling some files, getting some things ready. Very involved in his own defense.
Dr. Ayden, before I start with the questions in my cross-examination, I'm going to hand you a binder with several exhibits, including your report, your CV, the medical documents, the transcripts that you said you reviewed. So I'm going to approach you with that now, and previously shown to defense.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Just notice the clock is almost perfectly accurate for Eastern time. It's a little bit ahead.
Can you turn it off? That's still on. Sorry, bear with me. Okay. Ready?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Good morning again, Dr. Ayden.
Good morning, sir.
Right. I want to follow up on a couple of things, but before I get further into your opinion, can I go over some stats with you?
Sure.
And this is from your CV.
Sure.
You said you've been an MD since 1980, is that right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And after you got your MD, you became a resident in anatomic pathology first, right?
Correct.
Okay. And then a resident in forensic pathology, is that right?
Yes, sir.
And then you worked full-time for the government, for various agencies in different states, as a forensic pathologist from 1984 to 2003, is that right?
Yes, sir.
In 2004, you began to consult in forensic pathology, is that right?
I did. Actually, to be clear, I had done some consulting work in the years before that, but that's when I began basically trying to make a full-time job out of consulting.
Got it. And that's when you did that transition from government work to the consulting work, is that right?
Yes, sir.
And that's the same transition that took you, at least in the criminal context, from the state to the defense. Is that right?
In terms of who primarily called me to the stand, yes, sir.
And although you began the consulting in 2004, or a little bit earlier, you founded your company, Ayden Forensics, in 2006. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
So you've been running this company for 20 years now, right?
That's correct.
And as you just said, consulting through Ayden Forensics is primarily how you make your living now. Is that right?
That's true.
Here's the stats part, Dr. Ayden. Approximately how many death investigations have you conducted in your career?
There's no way I can give you an accurate answer on a number. I have consulted on probably a few thousand cases in my day, roughly, and I was involved in as a government medical examiner. I personally performed around 3,000 autopsies. I performed external examinations without full autopsies on roughly another 500 deaths. And I participated in many thousands of other death investigations as a supervisor and as a medical examiner. So it's been many thousands, but I couldn't put a real number on that.
Okay. And all I'm asking for is your best estimate. So if the best estimate is several thousands, that's okay, okay?
Sure.
Approximately how many consultations have you taken in the criminal field since 2004? And again, just estimate, please.
I don't keep these statistics, certainly not in my head. Again, if I've consulted on at least 1,000 and probably closer to 2,000 cases since 2004, somewhere in the neighborhood of half of them have been criminal cases.
Okay.
So
Thank
1,000.
you for estimating as best you can. I'm afraid I'm going to ask you more and for more estimations. In your entire career, can you estimate how many police reports you've reviewed?
No. Too many to count.
Too many to count. So more than the several thousand death investigations?
Yes, I've reviewed so many police reports I couldn't put a number on it.
More than 10,000?
I have no idea. It's more than a few thousand.
Okay, similar question.
This is the
I'm
setup.
probably going to get the same answer, but I want to ask it anyway. Over your career, can you estimate how many medical records you've reviewed?
You're correct. It's the same answer.
More than you can count.
It's been thousands. I don't know how many.
And as a consultant since 2004, approximately how many reports have you written?
Hundreds?
I have no idea. Many of my cases do not require reports. A fair percentage of them do as a consultant. I don't keep track of that.
Okay. And from your CV, as well as the report you prepared in this case, you stated that you've testified over 900 times. Is that correct?
Yes, and I stopped updating that number some years ago.
Your CV was from January 2025, is that right?
Yes.
So it's been at least a year and a couple months since you updated the CV, right?
Right, but I've stopped updating that number. It's just
it's meaningless.
It got
now.
to a point where the number was big enough. It wasn't worth puffing myself up.
Okay. So what we're all getting at here, Dr. Ayden, is you are very experienced in reading police reports, right?
Yes,
You are very experienced in reading medical records, is that right?
I am.
You're very experienced in testifying in court, is that right?
I am.
In addition, there was a section on your CV about academic publications, is that right?
Yes, there's a list of publications.
And the most recent publication, as listed on your CV, was in 2021, is that right?
Correct.
If you want to look at your CV, it's under S227, I believe, in the binder in front of you, if you need to look at it. Okay. That most recent publication in 2021 was titled Cognitive Bias in Forensic Pathology Decisions. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Ooh.
And that was published in the Journal of Forensic Sciences, right?
Correct.
That's a peer-reviewed journal, is that right?
It is.
It's actually very prestigious to be published in a peer-reviewed journal, correct?
It is.
And that was, I guess, sorry, that was the most recent academic article that you have published, at least on your CV, right?
Correct.
Okay. We'll come back to that article later.
Will we, though?
Now, we've already gone over that you prepared a report for this case, is that right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And if I ask you to review the report while we're talking this morning, could you look at the tab S226 in the binder?
I have it.
Okay. And that is your report, right?
It is.
Your report was dated December 27th, 2025. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
When did you start writing this report?
I don't track those things. Sometime fairly shortly before that.
And the report is 4 pages long. Is that right?
It is.
And you said earlier you don't always prepare a report? Is that
Correct.
right? But in this case you did.
I did.
And the report discloses your opinion well in advance of when you testify. Is that right?
That's right.
And that's a good thing, right?
Can be.
Yes, I guess so.
It's a good thing because everybody then knows what your opinion is well before you take the stand, right?
I think.
Objection, Your Honor. This is argumentative.
Argumentative? That's a good thing?
The report also discloses the materials you reviewed, is that right?
It does.
And those are the materials that you went over earlier with Mr. Otake, correct?
Correct.
All right. And a report in this type of report for forensic pathology would also disclose, if applicable, any scientific sources that you cite in support of your opinion, correct?
Correct.
Only if you're actually citing sources, though, right?
Correct.
Okay. There were no sources cited in your report for this case, correct?
That is correct.
Now, this is your business again, right?
This is my profession, yes.
And you charge money for that, correct?
I do.
Okay. I'm going to ask you, doctor, how much do you charge per hour?
$700 an hour.
Ooh.
Is that the charge for
Cha-ching.
the consultation and the report writing?
It is.
What is your fee for testifying?
For a court appearance out of town when I have to travel, it's a flat $7,000 for the day.
Whoa.
Okay.
Small chunk of change.
In this case, obviously, you say you live in Florida, so you had to travel to get here today, right?
I did.
Okay. Approximately how many hours did you spend reviewing the materials to prepare this report?
I do not know how many hours I spent reviewing the materials, but I can tell you the total of how many hours I spent reviewing, consulting, and writing the report.
Could you tell us that?
What's that?
That's 9.75 hours.
Okay, so that is 6,300 plus 7,000. So he's right around the $15,000 mark on income. White Witchy.
And you also have a website, correct, Dr. Ayden?
I do.
And that website is for your company, Ayden Forensics, is that right?
Yes, sir.
And on that website, you advertise, what kind of services you offer, correct?
Correct.
And you advertise yourself as an, quote, independent forensic pathologist with excellent credentials and a record of reliability and impartiality. Is that right?
I'm going to take your word for it if you took it from the website. I don't remember all the wording exactly, but that sounds accurate.
Sounds AI driven.
Reliability is important to you, is that correct?
It is.
Impartiality is also important to you, is that right?
It is.
All right. Dr. Ayden, I know you already talked about the materials you reviewed in writing this report, but I do want to clarify just a couple of them. You said that you reviewed the transcript of the Oahu grand jury proceedings from March 28, 2025. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Was that the entire grand jury proceedings or just the testimony of Ariel Koenig, or what actually from the grand jury proceedings did you review?
I am sure I reviewed the testimony of Ms. Koenig. Honestly, I don't recall whether I was provided the entirety of the proceedings, but my recollection is I reviewed her testimony.
Rocky
And
B, thank you so
you
much.
mentioned that you reviewed some of the Honolulu Police Department reports. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. You didn't review the entire police reports, did you?
I don't believe that I reviewed the entire file that they had, no.
And Dr. Ayden, you, in the next section of your report, after you talk about the materials you reviewed, you put a, quote, synopsis of pertinent facts. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
And that's where you describe essentially what you learned from reviewing the materials about the facts of what happened on March 24th. Is that right?
It describes what I learned from reviewing the materials that I judged was pertinent to the opinions I was going to provide.
I see. So it provided only what you judged was pertinent.
Hence the name synopsis of pertinent facts, yes.
So if you thought a fact was not important, you wouldn't include it. Is that right?
It wasn't a matter of importance. It's a matter of whether it was pertinent. My opinions are limited to certain areas, and I do not provide an accounting or a synopsis of all the facts that I read about in a case, because many of them don't relate to my opinions.
And the area that you were giving opinions on is Ariel's injury, correct?
Yes, sir.
So in your synopsis of pertinent facts, you gave all the facts that you thought were pertinent to Ariel Koenig's injuries. Is that right?
I gave all the facts that I thought were sufficient and pertinent for me to render those opinions.
Now, I'm going to jump ahead in your report to page 3, okay?
It seems like a big setup.
And you talk about concussions. Is that right?
I do.
All right. And you state that, sorry, I got to zoom in here. You have in parentheses, a couple sentences in this discussion about concussions as an aside. Is that right?
Yes, sir, I found that. It's on page 3.
And in this section, you're actually discussing an email Ariel Koenig sent to her primary care physician. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
And that was an email in which Ariel Koenig asked for consistency's sake, for the primary care physician to add concussion or TBI to her chart. Is that right?
Yes, that's true.
And based on the opinion you gave, concussion and traumatic brain injury are the same thing, right?
Concussion and mild traumatic brain injury are equivalent terms. They describe the same entity, yes.
So you saw nothing wrong with Ariel's email, right?
Right.
Objection, Your Honor, that's beyond the scope of his opinion testimony. There's something morally wrong with her email.
This is cross-examination.
And again, you saw.
We do object during cross-examination, so my objection is. Come on up.
Wow. He's like, this is cross-examination. He can go into it. He's like, but, Your Honor, I don't like it. I don't like it. This is detrimental to our case. It shouldn't be allowed. Okay, we're going to skip ahead because we can. All right. Sidebar's over.
Dr. Ayden, just to clarify one more time, you didn't see anything wrong with Ariel sending that email to her PCP, did you?
Objection was over.
I made no judgment about that email, right, wrong, or other. I made a comment on the substance of it and its meaning.
Dr. Ayden, in your opinion, it would be pretty disingenuous to try and ding Ariel for that email, wouldn't it?
No, objection, Your Honor. That's a statement. That's argumentative.
All right.
Can't ding her for it?
Let's take a step back, Dr. Ayden, to your ultimate, I guess, assignment with this case. And that was to compare the injury to the various statements she, meaning Ariel, made describing how those injuries were caused. Is that right?
That was half of it, yes.
That's what you say your purpose is in your report, isn't it?
Yes, and as I testified here today, my assignment was to assess her injuries and provide consultation, and specifically what you just said, to compare her injuries to her accounts of how they were caused.
And if you're comparing Ariel's injuries to her statements about those injuries, it's absolutely crucial to your reliability and impartiality to use accurate statements of Ariel, isn't it?
It is necessary to be accurate, yes.
More than that, Dr. Ayden, it's necessary to use accurate statements from Ariel Koenig. Isn't that right?
It is.
For example, if you take only parts of her statement, then your conclusions become unreliable, correct?
Not necessarily. That's a possibility.
If you exaggerate portions of her statement, your conclusions also become unreliable. Isn't that correct?
That is likely.
Where are we going with this?
If you misrepresented, hypothetically, parts of Ariel's statement, your conclusions become unreliable. Isn't that right?
Again, not a guarantee, but that's a good possibility.
Now, Dr. Ayden, one of your major conclusions that you testified to and that you put in your report was that you do not believe that Ariel was struck in the head with 10 blows. Is that right?
Correct.
Dr. Ayden, isn't it true that Ariel Koenig never said she got hit 10 times in the head?
Right. She said up to or about 10 times, yes. The number that she used in the descriptions was 10, but she didn't say absolutely it was 10. She said up to 10.
So your conclusion about, oh, she didn't get hit 10 times is not actually based on what Ariel said, correct?
Objection, Your Honor.
It is based on what she said. I didn't say in my report that she said she was struck 10 times, and that was the only statement she made. But the only number that she cited was 10. And so that was kind of a landmark for me to respond to. That's all.
And it's very clear from her statement that 10 times was an estimate, correct?
Yes.
And it was the maximum number, right?
Yes.
So her statement is not inconsistent with a lower number, is that correct?
It is not inconsistent with a lower number.
I'm going to take just a moment, and if I can retrieve Exhibit 2. All right, Dr. Ayden, let's move on to a little bit later in your opinion where you state that you would expect to see skull fractures if the defendant was swinging the rock with full force. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Skull fractures are very dangerous, correct?
They may be dangerous. They are not always, but they may be. And the concern with the skull fracture is also that it represents a degree of force applied to the head such that the fracture itself may be dangerous, but more importantly, the associated injuries are likely to be dangerous.
And that's the kind of injury that you would expect to see done with Exhibit 2, this rock?
If it had been wielded with full force by an adult male and had been struck in the head up to 10 times, yes.
Okay. Have you ever held the rock, Dr. Ayden?
I have not.
Can I hand it to you?
It's up to you, yes.
May I approach?
You may.
Thank you.
It's lighter than I expected.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Now you've had a chance to hold the rock.
Yes.
All right. It's dense, right?
Yes. It's got some heft.
It's solid.
Yes.
Basalt.
And your opinion is now still that an adult male using full force could cause, or you would expect to see skull fractures, correct?
If there had been up to 10 blows with full force, yes. Let me put it this way. You phrased the question, I would expect. The better way to express an opinion is, in my opinion, it is likely that there would be some skull fracturing and likely some internal head injury.
Your actual statement from your report is on page 4. Is that right, Doctor?
Can you direct me where you're...
Sure. It is the second to last paragraph where you state, had she been struck with that rock with extreme force, quote, full blast, it likely would have caused skull fractures and underlying brain injuries. And then you have a parenthesis, especially if she had been struck 10 times. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
So, you would expect to see brain injuries and skull fractures even if it wasn't 10 times. Is that right?
Correct.
And now that you've held the rock, you still have that same opinion, right?
I do.
Now, there are some assumptions to unpack when you make that statement. Is that right, Dr. Ayden?
Well, argumentative, Your Honor. I mean, it's their question. I mean,
Overruled. It's a yes or no answer.
Well, it's vague.
Doctor, you can answer it if you understand the question.
I'm not sure exactly what you're asking about. What assumptions?
Well, you had to make some assumptions to make that conclusion. Is that right?
Yes.
Again, I think you have to be more specific because I'm not sure if I just say yes, which assumptions you're talking about because I don't understand what you're getting at, so.
Okay, well, Dr. Ayden, I'll ask it this way. It's much, much easier to hit a stationary object, right?
I think that's a fair generalization.
It's much, much easier to hit a person's head if they are entirely stationary, not moving, correct?
Makes sense to me, yes.
On the other side, it's much, much harder to hit that person's head if they're moving around and squirming. Is that right?
I'm not going to be able to answer a question with too muches in it.
Too many muches.
If the person is moving, it likely introduces an element where it is at least somewhat harder to hit the head because the head is moving. In some circumstances, there could be so much movement that it is much, much more difficult to hit. In some circumstances, the movement could be to a lesser degree, and striking it could be pretty easy.
It's also, I'll just use one much, it's much harder to hit somebody if they're fighting back. Is that right?
It's the same answer. If a person fights back, it introduces an element that will make it more difficult to hit the person. How much more difficult depends upon how much fighting, what the circumstances are, what each person is doing. So, yes, it does introduce an element to make it more difficult. In some cases, probably much more. In some cases, not.
And Dr. Ayden, the last thing I want to get with this opinion, there's an assumption in what you wrote there that it's a clean hit. Isn't that right?
No. That's why I asked for clarification. It's not an assumption. I'm basing this on what was described about this rock, and I'm basing this on the evidence from her scalp laceration, knowing what it looked like and what its configuration was. So whether there's a clean hit or a clean hit and a not so clean hit isn't an assumption at all. I'm basing it on what actually happened, what resulted.
You're basing this, your whole analysis, off the results then, is that correct?
You have to say
Well, the
yes
result
there.
of what actually happened, the injury she actually had, is extremely important to my analysis, yes.
You don't know how hard the defendant swung that rock, do you, Dr. Ayden?
I do not, that's correct.
The only, well, and you have no way of actually knowing that yourself, is that correct?
Correct.
You didn't include anything in your report about it being harder to hit somebody that's fighting back, is that right?
Correct.
You didn't include anything in your report about it being harder to hit somebody that's moving, is that right?
That's also correct.
So those factors which would make it harder to hit somebody, you didn't include those at all?
I didn't include those because they weren't necessary to assess the actual laceration that she had.
Dr. Ayden, you testified that you reviewed Ariel's statements, correct?
Yes, sir.
You reviewed 4 of the transcripts of her recorded interview, correct?
Correct.
You reviewed her testimony from the grand jury, is that correct?
Correct.
And could you go to S180 in that binder? And then when you get to that, go to page 5.
What exhibit?
S180. Page 180. Are you at S180, Dr. Ayden?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and can you go to
Excuse
page
me.
5?
I have it.
Okay. And in that, there's a quote that says, "We kind of just kept wrestling," end quote,
Can
correct?
you direct me to the line?
Sure, I'll pull it up here. I won't put it on the screen or anything, but I'll pull it up on the iPad so we can go along together. Page 8 or lines 8 and 9 of this.
Thank you.
Ariel said in this transcript, and we kind of just kept wrestling. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Ariel also said at line 13, and I was just trying to kick him, comma, hit him. Is that right?
Yes.
Now, could you then move to page 16 of the same exhibit?
I have it.
Okay. On page 16, lines 5 and 6, Ariel testified, or you reviewed this that Ariel said, and then we were like fighting and wrestling on the ground. Isn't that right?
Correct, sir.
These are all factors that would make it more difficult for the defendant to get a good hit off on Ariel. Is that right?
Possibly.
None of these are in your report. Is that correct, Dr. Ayden?
Correct.
Do you want to take a break now, Ayden?
It's a good time.
It is.
So, ladies and gentlemen, let's take our first morning recess.
Morning break. We're going to skip ahead because we can.
We'll get you at 10:30. All right.
Okay, here we go. Skipping ahead through the break. We're going to give them just a minute to get reset up. Coming back. We're waiting just for audio. Maybe for the jury, I'm not sure. All right, skip ahead a bit more. We are on catch-up, by the way, for those that are a little confused, saying, hey, wait, I thought I saw this before. You might have been ahead of us. We are just about a day behind. We're going to get all caught up before closing arguments start tomorrow. You expect as soon as this witness concludes for the next defense witness to be the defendant himself, and he'll be on the stand for, I think, the balance of the time. Okay, I'm going to skip ahead. It's taking forever. Here we go. All right. There's lawyers. Looks like there was a little sidebar up there. Audio's back. Continue cross-examination of the doctor.
Okay. Dr. Ayden, could you please turn to S212?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and these are the Queen's medical reports that you reviewed as part of your preparation for writing your report, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, and on page 4 of that document, which actually has on the bottom left of it page 3, so there's a title page and then it begins, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, on page 4, Dr. Grosjean's notes indicate PT vomiting ×3 with EMS. Is that correct? In the middle of the page?
Yes.
Okay. PT means patient, correct?
Correct.
Okay. So the medical reports show, and the medical reports that you review show that Ariel was vomiting. Is that right?
She did vomit when she was with EMS, yes.
And that wasn't included in your written report. Is that right?
Correct.
And again, vomiting is a symptom of a concussion. Is that right?
Vomiting is a symptom of many, many different things. It may be associated with concussion. It may be associated with many different things.
Yeah, but if it's right after somebody receives some blows to the
Let's
head,
keep going
you
on things that
probably
are not
assume
in your report, Dr.
concussion
Ayden.
on that one.
In your report, you write about, on page 2, and I'm sorry, you can switch back to S226. You write about Ariel's thumb on page 2 of this report, correct?
Yes.
And you write that there was an, quote, impact injury to the tip of her left thumb. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Okay. That is the only time you mention any thumb injury in your report, correct?
Correct.
Dr. Ayden, it's not in your report at all that this was actually a fracture, correct?
Correct.
It's not in your report that this is a distal phalanx fracture, correct?
Correct.
You didn't think that was pertinent, right?
It wasn't pertinent to the opinions that I was offering, which were largely centered on her head injuries.
And you're aware that a distal tuft or a distal phalanx fracture is also known as a tuft fracture, correct?
It is?
Okay. Is it okay if I call it a tuft fracture from now on?
Sure.
It's just shorter. Okay, so you're aware that a tuft fracture is a, quote, crush injury. Is that right?
Yes, that would be typical of mechanism of causation.
You commonly see it in people who hit their hand with a hammer. Is that right?
That's certainly one good explanation for it.
And in the Kaiser records you review, this tuft fracture is referred to as a crush injury. Is that right?
I believe so, yes.
Let's go through it, Doctor. So that's going to be S215. All right, and this document's a little bit longer. Could you go to page 25 of that? And it should be 25 in the bottom right-hand corner of the page numbers.
I have it.
Okay.
Excuse me.
That's funny at the end there.
I apologize. I think I have the wrong page number.
I think so.
I'm sorry. Could you go to page 1 of S215?
Yes, sir.
All right. And there it is at the very bottom of the page, diagnosis number 8, left thumb distal phalanx fracture. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. And going to page 4 of this exhibit, it lists this as a, quote, crush injury, correct?
It does.
You never used the word crush injury in your report, is that right?
That's correct. I did not.
The word crush injury is actually used throughout this Kaiser document, is that right?
I haven't noted how many times it's used throughout or otherwise, but yes, it clearly does describe it as a crush injury.
And you thought this crush injury was not related to Ariel Koenig's head injury, is that right?
It is not her head injury. It's a different injury.
You reviewed the testimony of Ariel Koenig's grand jury, or you reviewed the transcript of Ariel Koenig's testimony at the grand jury, correct?
Yes, sir.
And isn't it true that Ariel stated at the grand jury proceeding, I also have a fractured thumb, you know, and finger lacerations from trying to keep the rock off my face so I could maintain consciousness?
Yes, that sounds familiar.
So you remember that statement?
Yes, sir.
And that statement is essentially saying that Ariel Koenig was trying to block with her hand. Is that right?
Yes.
Ariel Koenig, according to the statement, was trying to block the rock with her hand, right?
Yes.
And she suffered a crushing injury to her thumb, right?
Correct.
And this was somehow, and you deemed this not relevant to Ariel's head injury.
I deemed it separate from her head injury. She has a thumb injury. She has head injuries. The thrust of my opinions were assessing her head injury. I didn't ignore the thumb injury. I didn't omit it from the report, but I didn't discuss it or opine on it.
You downplayed it.
You say you didn't omit the thumb injury from your report?
No, the part that you just read into the record, I said that there was a thumb injury.
You didn't list it as a fracture, is that right?
I didn't describe it in any greater detail. I said she had a thumb injury, and I moved on because it wasn't relevant to the opinions I was giving.
So, Dr. Ayden, you don't think it's relevant that Ariel Koenig held up her hand to block her head and suffered a crush injury on her thumb?
That's good.
I didn't say that. It wasn't relevant to the opinions I was offering. I was offering opinions assessing the head trauma in relation to her statements or accounts thereof, and whether she blocked a blow with her thumb or not doesn't change any of that.
What this tells you, Dr. Ayden, that Ariel Koenig had a crush injury to her thumb while blocking,
Is that
that
the rock
tells
was
you
coming down.
that there was enough force to break bones, isn't that right?
There was enough force.
That's right.
There was enough force to break one very little bone at the tip of her thumb, yes.
And again, that mechanism is often seen when somebody gets hit with a hammer, is that right?
That is one good explanation for that injury.
And you thought, and you again considered her holding her hand up to her head while a rock is swung into her head separate from her head injuries that she suffered. Is that right?
They are separate injuries. I made no opinion as to whether the causation was related or not, or how she got it. Again, the real focus of my opinions was on the head trauma. It wasn't to ignore that, but that thumb injury is a separate part of her body. It's a different injury, and its relevance otherwise wasn't part of my analysis and opinions.
You provided an opinion about the level of force you believe was used, isn't that right?
I provided an opinion regarding Ms. Koenig's accounting of her description of the level of force, yes.
And the fact that there was a broken bone did not factor into that opinion. Is that right?
Correct.
Even though that bone was blocking her skull, right?
That bone is a couple of millimeters in size.
Objection,
Where
non-responsive.
No, let him, he's answering the question, Your Honor.
Make him say yes or no, Judge.
Can we approach, Your Honor?
Tommy can't lose. Tommy cannot take a loss. Defense attorney, he is something else. If the judge rules against him, he throws his hands up and yells, and it's drama. Prosecution is slowly whittling away at the credibility of the doctor. This is key. You've got the doctor's main testimony basically saying, first of all, supporting the defense idea that her injury wasn't that bad. It looked worse because it was a head wound and they bleed a lot. So the picture of her, with her whole head just dripping in blood, it doesn't paint the picture correctly. And to support that, we don't believe that she actually got hit that hard because there were no broken bones on the skull. But she broke her thumb, which was guarding her skull. It was crushed.
all I was... Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
He's going to ask another question, Doctor.
Dr. Ayden, if I ask you a yes or no question, can you give me a yes or no answer?
Your Honor, he needs to ask a question. Just ask a question. And if he needs to explain it, he's going to do his best.
Was that not
if it's non-responsive, then the appropriate motion will be made. Please, continue.
Okay. Dr. Ayden, if I ask you a yes or no question, are you willing to give me a yes or no answer?
Your Honor, it's an improper question.
Whoa.
You can ask the next question and we can deal with it.
Sustain. Ask the question.
Dr. Ayden, isn't it true that the fact that Ariel Koenig held up her hand to block that rock is highly relevant to the level of injury she sustained?
No.
You say no. Okay. Hypothetical here, Doctor.
Now
We've
we
talked-
just don't believe you.
Can you explain this answer?
No.
You can ask them redirect.
All right, Doctor. It's very clear that a blocking hand is an interfering force, right?
Objection. Argumentative. Phraseology of a question.
Well, overruled. You can ask the question.
Phraseology.
A blocking hand is an intervening force. Is that right?
No.
You don't believe that a block is interfering with the defendant swinging that rocket, Ariel?
It's not what you asked.
Do you believe, or isn't it true, that Ariel blocking the defendant from that rock that's, I think, still in front of you, with her hand, is an intervening force?
No, it is not an intervening force.
Isn't it true that Ariel blocking helped protect her head?
Can't answer it as yes or no.
Isn't it true that blocking a hit with your hand protects what's underneath?
The real answer is sometimes.
And again, this is all things that you didn't think were pertinent to Ariel's head injuries, right?
Answered.
They're not pertinent to the analysis and opinions that I offered about her head injuries. That's true.
Which make your opinions not pertinent to the case.
I'm not going to argue about semantics here.
Dr. Ayden, there's nothing in your report about the depth of Ariel's injury. Is that correct?
When lay members of the jury know the answer
Depends
to a
upon
question.
what you mean by the depth. I clearly do state that it is only to the scalp and soft tissues, which is an indication of depth.
Dr. Ayden, you never state in your report that the injuries went all the way through down to the skull. Is that right?
You are correct. That specific detail is not in my report.
The injuries went through her skin, correct?
Yes.
And medically, that's the epidermis and the dermis, is that right?
Correct.
And then under the skin, you described that there's a layer called the subcutaneous fat, is that right?
Yes.
Okay. So the injuries went through the dermis, correct? The epidermis, right?
Not in that order, but yes.
And the subcutaneous fat, correct?
Correct.
All the way down to the skull, is that right?
Yes.
And if you look at a photo, there's actually a significant amount of depth to that, isn't there, correct? I'm sorry, I'll rephrase the question after I publish the exhibit.
This could be a pretty graphic picture. Let's see if it's...
Okay, we're going to publish States Exhibit 22, which is already in evidence. Dr. Ayden, you'd agree that this image shows the depth of Ariel's injuries, is that right?
Doctor, if you need to step down and get closer to the screen, please.
Thank you, Your Honor.
And if you'd like me to zoom in, I can also do that.
Lacey D, thank you very much.
Well, this photograph actually does a very bad job of showing the depth of the scalp laceration.
This photo shows a large chunk of her scalp missing, isn't that right?
Objection, Your Honor. This photo speaks for itself. That's an inaccurate description.
I'm going to zoom in on the top right of this photo, Dr. Ayden. This is the area of impact, is that right?
Part of it. Again, the picture isn't taken for that, and it's not displaying that particularly well, but it's part of the area of impact.
And how deep is this injury in this photo, Dr. Ayden?
I can't tell from that photo how deep the injury is. I mean, we've already established, and I've agreed in testimony, that it went through the full thickness of the scalp down to the skull bone. This photo is not demonstrating that.
Dr. Ayden, there's also nothing in your report about the presence of rock in her injury, correct?
Correct.
You didn't include that there's presence of rock throughout Ariel's scalp injury, is that right?
I did not include specifically what foreign material was in her scalp laceration. I did mention it having to be cleaned out, but I did not include that detail.
And Dr. Ayden, you testified earlier about a lack of injury to the back of Ariel's head, correct?
Correct.
You viewed photographs of the scene, is that right?
I did.
Okay. And you viewed photographs that included a pool of blood on the ground, is that right?
There was blood on the ground, yes.
I'm going to publish one of those photos in just a moment.
This is by the hole in the bush. Which we wrote a song about.
All right, I'm going to publish States Exhibit 64. Dr. Ayden, this is a photo that you reviewed, correct?
Yes, sir.
And you stated in your report that there were no injuries to the back of Ariel's head, correct?
I did.
You said nothing about the environment of where her head was hit on the ground, correct?
Correct.
You said nothing about whether the ground was rocky and hard, right?
Correct.
You said nothing about whether there was piles of brush on the ground underneath her head. Is that right?
Correct.
And either way, that would matter in your analysis, correct?
The nature of the surface certainly could matter as to the likelihood of injuring or how the head would be injured in the rear of the head. It doesn't really affect my analysis because my analysis basically pointed out that there was no such injury.
Well, the surface could be a reasonable explanation as to why there isn't such an injury. Is that right?
It's a possibility.
But you didn't do that analysis. Fair?
Correct. The bottom line was there were no injuries to corroborate that aspect of her account, and that was what I was commenting on.
Now, looking at the ground in this photo, Dr. Ayden, it's not rocks. Is that right?
Correct.
It's brush and what looks like straw. Is that right?
Excuse me, what?
It's brush
Straw?
and what looks like straw. Is that right?
Like Rumpelstiltskin straw?
I
I don't know what's strong. Anyway,
it looks like the ground, there's some vegetation. I have no idea if that's straw or not, but there's grassy looking stuff and there's some leafy vegetation, and it's the ground, the earth.
This is a softer surface than concrete, correct, Doctor?
It is.
This is a softer surface than lava rock, right, Doctor?
It is.
This is even a softer surface than compacted dirt, right, Doctor?
Yeah, that's a maybe.
Well, you see the picture, right?
I see the picture, but I really am not an engineer. I'm not going to be able to comment on this earth versus compacted dirt.
Oh, my goodness.
Take the exhibit down.
All right, we've done all the damage we need to on this one. He's paid to say what he says.
All right,
I think the
Dr.
jury
Ayden.
sees that.
We're going to move on to our next topic that we're going to talk about this morning. We're going to talk about bias, okay, Doctor?
Objection. Is there a question, Your Honor? I mean, ask a question. It's not a proper statement or question.
May I approach, Your Honor?
My objection is argumentative.
Can we talk about bias this morning, Dr. Ayden?
Well, again, Your Honor, that's an improper question. You can ask a question.
Your Honor, can we approach?
Can we approach? Oh, my goodness. Oh, my goodness. Okay, we're going to skip ahead while they talk about bias up at the bench. Okay, here we go. Skip. Let them come back from the bench.
Are you ready to talk about bias?
Objection. Argumentative. Ask the question.
Oh, that's argumentative? Overruled.
Ask away.
Are you ready to talk about bias in general?
Sure.
Okay. Now, it came up on your direct examination that
It's like
you have a
6
prior
objections.
business relationship with Mr. Otake. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
And you stated in your report that despite the outcome of any case you testify, your fee remains the same. Is that right?
Yes.
And the purpose of that is to not bias your report. Is that fair to say?
It's a combination. It is a statement about not being biased. It's also a kind of a blanket statement that I don't get paid more if the side that hired me wins. I get paid the same regardless of what happens.
But there is an interest in future business, isn't there, right? Isn't that right, Doctor?
Well, there's always an interest in future business, but that doesn't overcome what we've already talked about, that you get the same opinion from me no matter who you are. It's based on the facts and the medicine. And let's face it, future business isn't such a big interest of mine. I'm trying to get retired and it's not working.
Your interest in future business would encourage you to say what you think Mr. Otake wants you to say. Isn't that right?
No, that's not right at all. No.
Your interest in future business encourages you to minimize Ariel's injuries. Isn't that right?
No, absolutely not. My interest in future business is doing business honestly with attorneys who are honest, and that's what I do. And you've already heard the answer during direct exam. I tell lots of lawyers that their clients are screwed. And you know, that's what happens. Sometimes the truth hurts, but that's what they get from me.
Dr. Ayden, your interest in future business encourages you to ignore the facts that are bad for your conclusion. Isn't that right?
No, not right.
Now, I asked you earlier about an article that you co-authored in 2021, correct?
Yes.
And that was an article titled Cognitive Bias in Forensic Pathology Decisions, right?
Yes.
Okay. And again, this was peer-reviewed, correct?
It was.
And you obviously care about bias since you wrote an article about it, right?
I do.
One of the main points in that article was that forensic pathologists should not be considering irrelevant non-medical information. Is that right, Dr. Ayden?
That is correct.
Because irrelevant non-medical information can cause known biases, correct?
It can?
It can cause unknown biases, right?
Well, at this point, I need to know what you mean by known and unknown.
It can cause unconscious biases. Is that right?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. So sometimes when a forensic pathologist looks at irrelevant non-medical information, it can cause a bias that even the forensic pathologist doesn't know about, right?
Right.
And that's what an unconscious bias is.
Correct.
And you write, and this is actually a fairly lengthy article, is that correct?
Yes.
And you write, there should be transparency about if and what contextual information was relied upon. That is, if the pathologist's report explicitly state what non-medical contextual information was known and used in their decisions. Is that right?
It is.
And you think that's a good practice, right?
I do.
You think it's a good practice for when a forensic pathologist reviews irrelevant non-medical information to disclose first what they reviewed, correct?
Yes.
And second, you think it's important for them to disclose how it impacted their conclusions. Is that right?
Yes.
And generally, it's not favored under this article that you wrote for a forensic pathologist to be looking at irrelevant non-medical information at all, right?
Correct.
It's not best practices, correct?
The article doesn't define things in terms of best practices. It is something that should be avoided. I'll tell you, in the real world, sometimes it is difficult to avoid irrelevant or non-medical information because that's how things come to you. But you should recognize which things are irrelevant or non-medical, and you should make strong efforts to avoid being influenced by them.
Dr. Ayden, in this case, you reviewed Ariel Koenig's third interview transcript. Is that right?
I did.
And that is S-184. Is that right?
I don't know, but I'll find out. Yes, sir.
Okay, so this S-184 that you're looking at is the transcript of the third interview of Ariel Koenig. Is that right?
Correct.
Okay, and this is a document that you reviewed to prepare your report, correct?
Correct.
Dr. Ayden, isn't it true that this interview is not talking about anything related to Ariel's injuries, right?
Right. This transcript of the third interview does not discuss any of her physical injuries, the lacerations.
So this interview, transcript number 3, is irrelevant non-medical information. Isn't that correct?
It is irrelevant non-medical information relative to the blunt force injuries or blunt impact injuries that she received. Yes.
You also reviewed Ariel Koenig's fourth transcript. Is that right, Doctor?
Yes.
And if you want to turn to S-186, could you?
Yes.
And could you review that for just a moment?
Yes, sir.
There's no medical information in this fourth interview about Ariel Koenig's head injuries, correct?
Correct.
This is irrelevant non-medical information. Is that right?
Correct. On which I did not rely for my opinions.
You testified earlier that you reviewed it, right?
I reviewed it. I review many things. There are many facts and features in medical records that I review that don't become part of my opinions either.
Doctor, in just a moment, you agreed with me that the forensic pathologist shouldn't even be reviewing irrelevant non-medical information. Isn't that right?
I said that you shouldn't be relying on it. And I said that in real life, sometimes it comes to you whether you like it or not. I was presented with Ms. Koenig having made 4 statements to the 4 interviews with the police, and I wanted to be sure I hadn't missed anything, so I reviewed all of them. But you'll notice that in my opinions, there's nothing from statements 3 or 4, or interviews 3 or 4, excuse me, that I relied upon or used in reaching my opinions.
Dr. Ayden, you didn't follow the recommendations in your own paper. Isn't that right?
No, not really. It's not right.
You testified earlier, Dr. Ayden, that you were the chief medical examiner in Washington, D.C., correct?
Yes, sir.
And that was from... I'm going to pull up your CV so I get the dates correct. And your CV is 227 in there if you want to go along with me.
Yes, sir.
Okay. You were the chief medical examiner in Washington, D.C. from April 1998 to October 2003. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Normally, that's a 6-year term. Is that correct?
Objection, Your Honor. Can we approach? Sure.
Normally it's a 6-year term, but you did not serve that long. Why is that? It probably is outside the scope. Probably is irrelevant. But it's sort of, yeah, I don't know. We'll see if there was a wrongdoing somewhere. It's a question. I'm not sure if it'll be allowed. I know Tommy doesn't want it. Skipping ahead till the end of the sidebar. The defendant is going to be on the stand here shortly. That's going to be incredible. Maybe in more ways than one. Skippity-doo-dah.
The office of the chief medical examiner in Washington, D.C. after 5.5 years, correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Before you left, there was an audit from the Office of the Investigator General of the City of Washington, D.C., correct?
Not the Investigator General.
I'm sorry. Is it OIG?
Yes.
And that's S-230 with you, right?
Yes.
I'm sorry, it's the Office of the Inspector General conducted this audit, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Can you turn to page 31 of that audit?
Yes, sir.
And I'm sorry, page 31 will be in the bottom right. I know there's a couple unmarked pages at the beginning.
I have it.
Okay. Now, there was a specific finding in this audit about the policies that you set as chief medical examiner, correct?
Yes.
And the specific finding in that audit, and I'm sorry, before I get to the findings, the acronym OCME is Office of Chief Medical Examiner, correct?
Yes.
The acronym CME is Chief Medical Examiner, right?
Yes.
So if I use the word CME, I'm referring to your position, right?
Correct.
There's also an acronym NAME, is that right?
Yes.
That's the National Association of Medical Examiners?
Correct.
Okay. So there was a specific finding in this audit about, I'm sorry, before I get to the finding, the way this audit was done was the Office of the Inspector General interviewed the medical examiners, correct?
They interviewed many different staff members throughout the agency.
And they made a finding that medical examiners say autopsy procedures lack important criteria and some contradict the CME's verbal instructions. Is that right?
Can you point me to where you're reading from?
At page 31, near the bottom of the page, under subsection A.
Ooh, interesting.
Okay, could you read the excerpt again, please?
Okay. The finding was that medical examiners say autopsy procedures lack important criteria and some contradict the CME's verbal instructions. Is that right?
Yes.
And the CME again is you. Is that right?
Correct.
And they explain that finding in the next paragraph, correct, Doctor?
Yes.
And they say the medical examiners also stated that many of OCME's written procedures differ from the standard operating procedures used in surrounding jurisdictions and from NAME standards. That's the finding in the audit, correct?
That's what the medical examiners claimed, yes.
You wrote the procedures for the DC Office of the Chief Medical Examiner, is that correct?
Some of them.
The audit, or the finding further states that these medical examiners stated that some procedures contradict verbal instructions that they have received from the Chief Medical Examiner. Is that right?
That's what they said.
They go on to say that the decision on what procedures should be followed is at the discretion of the Chief Medical Examiner yourself, correct?
Yes.
Who is inconsistent in the criteria he uses and does not conform to established best practices. Is that right?
Whoa.
That's what they claimed.
This is the finding in the audit by the Office of the Inspector General of the City of Washington, D.C., correct, Dr. Ayden?
Right, reflecting what the medical examiners claimed.
They didn't like you very much.
There's a conclusion sentence at the end, right, of this paragraph?
Sorry, hang on one second.
I'm reminiscing good old days. And then you left your job early, 6 months early.
I think that was an unspecific question, Doctor.
It was.
There's a statement at the end of that paragraph we've been going through stating, the medical examiners believe that because they were not included in developing these procedures, autopsies are not as timely and cost-effective as they should be, and their integrity cannot be assured, correct?
That's a statement, yes.
Okay. And again, these are all referring to the policies that you wrote, correct?
This is referring to criticisms from employees about policies and procedures that I implemented.
And their criticism was that the policies and procedures that you implemented meant that their autopsies, the integrity of their autopsies, could not be assured, correct?
Again, that was a claim made. That's not a fact, and I disagree with it.
Okay.
It's a finding.
This is, if you go to the top of the page that we're looking at, it says key findings, correct?
Yeah, there it is.
Yes.
This is a key finding of the audit by the Office of the Inspector General of Washington, D.C., correct?
Yes.
Well, objection, it's misleading. The findings are in the
All right.
headings. There's a summary after it.
Here we go. Another approach. Let's skippity-doo-dah through this one. Objection misleading.
There. The top of that page we've been looking at says key findings, correct?
That's the section of this report. The multiple pages say key findings.
And everything I've been reading that you is from this same page, correct?
Correct.
Everything from this section titled key findings, correct?
Yes.
Dr. Ayden, you also have a long history of going on the news, correct?
There was a period of time when I did talking head kind of things on news programs, yes. I haven't done it in a number of years, but for a while I did.
You would go on CNN, correct?
That was one place.
You would go on Nancy Grace, is that right?
I did. It's a little embarrassing, but I did many Nancy Grace shows.
I'm not going to comment on how embarrassing that would be for anybody or any comment about that.
Whoa.
But you were on the show, right?
I was.
Okay. Now,
Never again.
you did a specific statement in, or could you turn to S229, Doctor?
Oh, Yes, thank you. I have it.
Okay. And this is a transcript of the show CNN Newsroom. Is that right?
It is.
Okay, and the date is October 5th, 2007. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. And some of the anchors here are Don Lemon, right?
He's one.
Okay. And you actually provided a statement in this TV show, correct?
I did.
Okay. I'm going to direct you to the page because I think it's kind of further in there.
Got all the help he needs to retire quicker now. Can thank the prosecutor later.
Okay. Dr. Ayden, could you go to page 11 out of 15? I apologize. There may not be page numbers.
There are no page numbers, but I think I was there. I have it.
Okay. And you made a statement to CNN about the Maricopa County medical examiner releasing information, correct?
Yes, not the police.
I'm sorry. It was
Cough's coming back.
Excuse me.
Take a moment. Let me know when you're ready.
Thank you. I'm ready.
Okay. So you gave a statement about the Maricopa County medical examiner's office releasing information, correct?
I made a general statement about release of information that was related to a question from the Maricopa County medical examiner. Yes.
And the statement you made was you really need to be particularly careful about the release of information, not to look like you're hiding something, not to give anybody the false impression or any impression that they're not getting the full story. Is that correct, Dr. Ayden?
That's correct.
And you still believe that statement today, correct?
I do, especially in that context.
You believe it's important to not hide information, right?
Correct.
You believe it's important for people to get the full story, correct?
Correct.
Dr. Ayden, isn't it true that you deliberately suppressed the fact that Ariel Koenig had that tuft fracture on her thumb from your report?
No, it is not true that I deliberately suppressed that she had a tuft fracture. I mentioned a thumb injury, and as I've already explained, that was not relevant to the analysis and opinions that I was giving. Excuse me, and it still is not.
Isn't it true that when you testified this morning, you testified that you would tell the whole truth?
I did.
And you said nothing in your direct testimony about this thumb fracture, correct?
Right. I also said nothing in my direct testimony about many other medical details that she had that were in those records.
He coughs,
one last section, Dr. Ayden.
He coughs at certain times in his testimony that makes it look like it's a tell.
I'm going to publish what's been entered into evidence as State's Exhibit 236. It'll be up on the screen next to you. It's not in your binder.
Thank you. Excuse me.
Okay. You put on the screen State's Exhibit 236, Dr. Ayden.
Your Honor, can we approach?
Sure, you can approach. It's on the screen. If this is for impeachment, it's probably allowed, but might not be allowed this way. Let's see what we've got here. Sidebar is brief.
I'm going to put that photo back up on the screen. State's Exhibit
Overruled.
236. Okay. You did not review this photo as part of your preparation, correct?
Excuse me. I do not recall seeing this photo. I may or may not have, but I do not recall this photo.
And you were not asked to provide any opinions, and I want to clarify, I'm not asking you to provide any opinions, but you were not asked to provide any opinions about what you see in this photo, correct?
Correct.
The only opinions you were asked to provide were about Ariel Koenig, is that right?
Correct.
Okay. And I'm going to publish now State's Exhibit. State's Exhibit 25. Dr. Ayden, this is a stellate laceration that we see on the screen, correct?
Yes.
Okay, I'm going to take the exhibit down. I have no further questions.
Okay, Tommy, how are you going to salvage this?
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Ayden. I'll try to keep this relatively brief. The audit that you were asked about when you were the chief medical examiner of the Washington, D.C.'s office, that was from, was it 2002? Something like that?
2003.
2003. So 23 years ago?
Yes.
And as audits do, it pointed out some findings and made recommendations of how to improve. And in the audit, you agreed to the recommendations, right?
I agreed to many of their recommendations, and also, by the way, they're statutorily required to include my comments or responses,
okay,
which they did, and some of them disagreed with some of the statements in the findings or made by other employees. But bottom line is, they made some findings. Clearly, the office wasn't perfect. I agreed to many of the actually almost all of the findings, and agreed that we should improve those things.
And that was 23 years ago?
Correct.
All right.
And then you quit.
Now, 1 second. I'm just going to kind of run through some areas here that you were asked about. You know, he asked you about testifying mostly for defense, and we talked about how, because the prosecutors have their own medical examiners and whatnot, and I think you said last month you testified for the prosecution. Just last month, right?
Correct.
You were asked about getting paid, and I think you said $700 an hour.
Yes.
Which is another reason we're going to try to keep this short right now. But and you said about 10 hours, so maybe $7,000 around there, and
yeah, just short of that.
And then 7,000 for the day, right?
Correct.
Doctor, would you sacrifice your integrity for $14,000?
No way.
You were asked about this issue of the email to the primary care doctor and concussion. And you said that while traumatic brain injury, mild traumatic brain injury, is somewhat synonymous with concussion. You said that, right?
I did.
But let's read the whole email. 1 second. One second, I had it here somewhere. It's okay. The email mentioned asking to include concussion and traumatic brain injury in the PCP, primary care physician's report, and it said, so it's consistent with the Queen's documentation and treatment. You remember reading that?
Yes.
Do you recall, you went through the Queen's records, right?
Yes.
Do you recall seeing anywhere in those records the term traumatic brain injury?
I do not.
You were asked about the statements gave by Ms. Koning where she said up to 10 times and, things like that. The only number she mentioned was 10, correct?
Sorry. Yes, that's the only number.
Yeah, and so, and there were places she said, 100% with all his might, right?
Yes, full force.
Full force. And you were asked to give an opinion about whether her statements were consistent with her injuries, and you said, in your opinion, it's likely consistent with 2, maybe 3 hits, is what you said today, right?
I said several blows in my report, and I testified here today excuse me, most probably 2 to 3.
Okay, so consistent with 2, maybe consistent with 3, right?
Yes.
But not likely consistent with 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, up to 10, correct?
Those are, excuse me.
Yeah.
Those are unlikely.
It's choking on his opinion here.
You were asked if you held the rock before today, but you surely had photos of the rock that you were provided. Is that right?
Correct.
Now, you were asked this questioning about if somebody's head was moving around, would it be harder to hit? And you know, if they were wrestling and whatnot. First of all, if somebody was hit up to 10 times, like 5, 6, 7, 8, you think maybe at full blast, doctor, maybe after the first 2, they might be not moving as much. The next 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 would be easier to have impact?
That's certainly a possibility.
There's some assumptions there.
Now, you know, I just want to
choking on his own testimony.
Being fair here to you. So you were asked
only funsies. Thank you
about
so much.
When you were saying that Ms. Koenig's complaints about concussion were subjective and self-reported, and then he brought up, well, isn't it true at the Queen's she had vomited? Remember that?
I do.
But isn't it true in your report that he had, when you were talking about that, it said the records from the primary care physician, indicated that Ms. Koenig was experiencing post-concussion symptoms of dizziness and nausea. And you said, I note that her complaints were entirely subjective. You were talking about the complaints to the PCP, right?
Correct, at a later date.
Yeah, you weren't trying to say that there was no vomiting at Queen's, right?
Correct.
You're talking about her complaints to the primary care, right, in your report?
That's correct.
Now, you weren't allowed to answer this earlier, but so I want you to...
Objection.
Just ask the question.
Sorry.
Earlier, when you were asked questions about the thumb, well, multiple questions, there was more you were about to say. I want to follow up with that. You were talking about why...
Thank you. Thank you.
Well, first of all, you did include the thumb in your injury in your report, right?
I mentioned it, yes.
Yeah, and you referred to it as you called it an impact injury, right?
I did.
You didn't have to call it that, did you?
Well, that's what it was.
Yeah, but my point is you included that in your report, right?
I did.
Now, you were starting to say...
Crushing fracture.
You were trying to demonstrate to the jury, what are we talking about here? You said just the front tip, small portion of the thumb?
Yes. The fracture was of the tip of this bone that's at the tip of the thumb. So the area that was fractured was very small.
Okay. And is the rock still there with you? Or?
I have it.
Okay, can you hold up the rock?
Can you hold out your hand and demonstrate?
If somebody was, full blast with that rock, hitting somebody on the head, do you think that little tip of the thumb would make a big difference? But the rock is a lot bigger than that tip, yes?
Right, the rock is much bigger. The rock has heft. If the tip of the thumb got caught by a blow, it's not blocking much of the impact or the effect.
Okay. And the injury wasn't she didn't have broken hand bones or anything like that. Just the very tip of her thumb, right?
Just the tip of the thumb. Excuse me.
Is that what you're trying to explain earlier?
Yes.
You were asked multiple times about what was in your report and what wasn't. You remember that?
Yes.
Doctor, when you reviewed hundreds of pages of documents in this case?
I did.
Okay. And your report is 4 pages long, right?
Correct.
And in your work as a consultant, is that common, not just for you, but have you also reviewed other expert reports in the course of doing this work?
Many.
And isn't it true that the report is just a summary of your thoughts and opinions, correct?
Right. It's not the recitation of the entire
material that I saw.
You were asked about this injury going
Defense is
all
hired
the
in.
way to the skull, all the way to the skull. Okay.
Yes.
And so, but you know, I mean, just so we're clear, and my head is probably a good example because I don't have hair, but if like from your scalp to the skull, I mean, is it a very deep? I mean, is it a very thick area from the top of your scalp to your skull?
No, you're probably talking about half an inch, 5/8 of an inch, that neighborhood.
All right.
5/8 of an inch? 5/8 of an inch? Seriously? That seems.
You were asked about the lack of injury to the back of her head, and I guess photo of. First of all, do you know if that photo he showed where that blood was? Do you know if that's where Miss Coney suggested her head was bashed on the ground?
I do not.
Okay, but even assuming could a head being bashed on the ground multiple times on dirt or a trail, could that cause injury to the back of the head?
Sure, it could.
Objection beyond the scope. Move to strike.
He asked about this very subject.
Come on up. I think this is within scope. Just skip ahead.
The medical doctor, do you agree that bashing someone's head on the ground, even if it's dirt or a mountain trail, could cause injury? Yes.
Yes, it could.
And you did not see any any notation of injury to the back of her head, right?
Correct.
But it doesn't mean it didn't happen because there was no injury. He's having allergic reaction to his own testimony. That's funny, Lonnie.
Let me ask you two last subjects here. Okay. So, you were asked by the prosecutor. Apparently, I guess he's faulting you, or he's bringing up that.
Objection.
Yep.
You were asked by him. He raised this issue. You understand from what was well. First of all,
use your words.
You review what's provided to you, right?
Correct.
And you understood Miss Coney gave 4 statements to the police, right?
Yes.
And you were provided all 4 of those statements, right?
I was.
And you reviewed all 4 of her statements that was provided, and the parts that were helpful and mattered, you included, and the parts that weren't about medical, you didn't, right?
Correct.
Okay. Now, as an expert through the last 20 years, have you ever had an occasion where an attorney would question you about something that you weren't provided everything?
Objection.
What? Why? Why?
What? Approach. My goodness, we're getting our steps in today for sure. Little what from Tommy. So he doesn't know why that was not acceptable.
So, doctor, in your practice, when you're asked to compare what somebody said to the injuries, it's good practice to review everything they said. Yes.
Pretty much, yes.
And you can be criticized for not reviewing everything. Correct.
Yes, that's true.
So, for example, if we didn't give you 3 and 4 statements 3 and 4, he might be cross-examining you that you didn't review everything. Right?
Correct.
You've seen that happen, right?
Yes, sir, I have.
Damned if you do, damned if you don't, I guess. Right, doctor?
Objection argumentative. That's sustained.
There's 100.
The one prior case you provided opinions on, for me, one time over 10 years ago, prosecutor indicated that was a business relationship. Just to be clear, we've never been in any business together, but you were retained once before over the last 10 years, correct?
That's right.
You were then asked about future business and how something about, isn't it true, essentially you would say things that aren't true to get future business. Do you remember him asking that?
States the question.
No. Do you remember him asking that?
I do.
And first of all, again, is that offensive to you?
Highly.
Apologize for asking this question, but how old are you, doctor?
No embarrassment. Well, this month I'll be 72.
Okay. And you mentioned that you're trying to retire, trying to slow down, right?
Trying. Not succeeding so well, but I'm trying.
But do you need more work, doctor?
No, I'm turning down plenty of work right now.
You're in a position where you pick and choose the cases you want to work on and the attorneys you want to work with, right?
Yes.
Are you concerned about getting future business?
No, I'm not. As I said, I am currently turning down a substantial number of cases that come to me.
And your wife, who traveled with you, how does she feel about you taking on new cases?
Well beyond the scope.
Sustain. This goes to his lack of need for future business. I'll ask you a different way.
Please.
Is it a goal of your wife and yourself to slow down and enjoy yourself a little more?
Yes.
Spend time with family?
Correct.
So nowadays, it's not about future business, but it's you want to work on cases and you want to work with attorneys that you mentioned are ethical attorneys, right?
Yes.
Objection.
It came out on he asked the question on the record.
Absolutely not.
Objection is sustained?
We can approach.
And it has to move to strike.
Well, let's approach.
There's nothing to strike, there's no answer.
Wow, I wish we could hear the sidebars. They're spicy. Man, they're all over each other here. Okay. All right. Objection, move to strike. Not going to strike. There was no answer.
Dr. Ayden, thank you for your time today. So as far as this idea that you would say things, for whatever to get future business, it's true that you're in a point in your life and your career where you don't need the work, but you choose to work on the cases that you want to and work with the attorneys that you want to, right?
Correct.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Mr. Garner, any recross based on what was asked on redirect?
Dr. Ayden, Hawaii is a good place to slow down with your wife, right?
Shut up.
You're talking
Hawaii.
about living here?
Visiting.
Visiting Hawaii is wonderful.
Now, you testified on redirect that you believed that Ariel's injuries were 1/2 inch to 5/8 an inch deep. Is that right?
Objection, that mistakes his testimony.
No, it doesn't.
Oh, that's the testimony.
I testified that the approximate thickness of the scalp down to the skull is about 1/2 to 5/8 of an inch. It's an approximation.
And again, the injury was all the way down to Ariel's skull, correct?
Correct?
So A plus B means that the injury was 1/2 inch to 5/8 of an inch deep on Ariel, correct?
Approximately, yes.
Right.
That
You
just
were
seems
also
big.
asked on your redirect about the unconsciousness or the effect of several blows to the head in rapid succession, correct?
Correct?
And you said that that could cause unconsciousness, right?
I don't think I ever used the word unconsciousness, nor was it in the question. I did agree that it was possible that a person might be moving around less after being affected by several blows.
And that's because the person could go unconscious, right?
Well, person could go unconscious, person could be kind of dazed without being unconscious, person could be in pain and stops moving, lots of possibilities.
And the person could also be dead, right?
Well, if you're dead, you're not moving.
No further questions. Boom.
All right. Last thing, Dr. Ayden.
Holy funsies, thank you once again.
Testified on your redirect that you now believe, or you're consistent with your report that you believe that it was at minimum several blows, correct?
That missed. Well, go ahead.
I didn't say at minimum. I said approximately. I said several blows, several impacts in the report, and I testified here today to clarify that I believe most probably 2 to 3.
And as we've been very clear with your cross-examination, Dr. Ayden, you're not counting Ariel Koenig's thumb fracture, correct?
Correct.
You're not counting the damage to her face, correct?
Correct. That's separate.
You're only counting her scalp, is that right?
Correct.
Boom.
Thank you. No further questions.
Thank you, sir.
Suddenly it becomes
Nothing further.
5 to 6.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. You can step down. Appreciate you being here. Watch that step.
Yes, thank you, Your Honor.
Go enjoy your $7,000 free vacation in Hawaii. All right, as let's just let him go ahead and exit the courtroom here and see what we have next. We're going to take a break, or if we're going to go straight to our next witness, which it just turns up the spice. Josh knows. He's spoiling it for us. Last witness was Dr. Jonathan Ayden. Next up.
We have a more extensive legal discussion with the attorneys. Instead of having you wait, I'm just going to call the early lunch recess. Have you come back at 1:15. Leave your notebooks on the chair. Don't talk to anybody about this case. Keep an open mind. Do not try to learn about this case outside of the court. All of you, have a good lunch. See you at 1:15. All rise.
I think we're going to take this lunch break. Let's see what happens here, if they get the legal discussion before they go to lunch or not. Give me just 1 second. I think it's going to be the colloquy.
Mr. Otake, other than the possibility of Dr. Koenig, does the defense intend to call any other witnesses?
Well, not before he testifies, but maybe after.
Understood. Then would now be the appropriate time to discuss his right to testify and not testify, is what I'm really getting at.
Yes.
It's up to you, Your Honor. If you want to do it now, that's fine.
Okay. You can remain seated, Dr. Koenig. I just had this conversation at the beginning of trial, but it's time to have it again. Right now, are you under the influence of any drugs, alcohol, or medication?
I'm not.
Any problems understanding the English language?
No.
You're thinking clearly right now?
Yes.
When we discussed this trial, when we started this trial, we discussed your rights to testify and not testify.
I remember that.
You do have the constitutional right to testify in your own defense. Do you understand what that means?
Yes.
You should consult with your lawyers about your decision, but this is
Lots
your
of
decision.
know.
And if
Most of them.
you want to testify, nobody should stop you from testifying. Do you understand that?
I understand.
And if you choose not to testify, the prosecutor will have the opportunity to cross-examine and question you. Do you understand what that means?
Yes.
And just so we're clear, if you do choose to testify, just like all the other witnesses, you would come up to the stand, you would take an oath to tell the truth, and you would first be asked by questions by either Mr. Otake or Mr. Dirks. When they're done asking their questions, the prosecutor, probably Mr. Garner, will have the opportunity to question you as well. Unless I sustain an objection or stop any of the questioning, you would have to answer all of the questions that are put to you by all of the attorneys. Does that make sense?
I understand.
Do you have any questions about what happens if you choose to testify at trial?
No.
And you also have a constitutional right to not testify and remain silent. Do you understand what that means?
Yes.
And I want to make sure I get this correct. Again, it's your decision about whether or not to testify. And if you don't want to testify, nobody should pressure you, and you should not feel pressured or coerced in any way to testify. Does that make sense?
Yes.
If you choose not to testify, the jury will be instructed that it cannot consider your decision to not testify as well as your silence in any way when it decides the case. Do you understand what that means?
Yes.
I'm going to read exactly the instruction that I would give to the jury if you choose not to testify. And this is what it states. If you don't testify, the court will instruct the jury that the defendant has no duty or obligation to testify, and you must not draw any inference unfavorable to the defendant because he did not testify in this case or consider this in any way in your deliberations. Did you understand the instruction that I read?
Yes.
Now, do you understand what happens if you choose not to testify?
Yes.
You have a choice to make, Dr. Koenig. Did you discuss this decision and your choice with your attorneys?
I did.
Were they able to answer all of your questions?
They did.
Do you need additional time to talk with them about this decision?
I do not.
Then I'm going to ask you, what is your decision, Dr. Koenig, to testify or not testify?
I'd like to testify.
Thank you for answering my questions. You can have a seat. You as well, Counsel.
All right, we knew this was coming. He's taking the stand.
Before the lunch recess, is there anything else we should take up on record?
Nothing from the state.
You're still talking.
No, Your Honor.
Then we will recess for lunch. Again, have everybody back at 1:10. Thank you.
All right.
You are muted.
We're muted. Yay. All right, we're muted now, apparently. But we are going to be taking a lunch break and coming back because I did the math. We have about 4 hours after today. We have about 4 hours of testimony to hear, and we don't have all that much left today as well. Let me just check here. Yeah, we're making good time. Got about 3 hours left. 12. Yeah, that's going to work out. So we're going to take a lunch break. We're going to grab a bite to eat. I'm making a portal to take us to the afternoon hour. Let's see if we come back at 12:15. Sound good? I know it's an early lunch break. It's only 11:30. It's like a breakfast break. Is what it is. That'll give us just a few minutes to take a break. Honestly, I'm just going to take some medication. Brunch break. You kidding me? It says, I just got here. Okay, well, we already got the thumbnail up. I'm just making the portal to take you there right now, and we're going to come back and continue. We're going to have the testimony of Gerhard Koenig in this trial, and I have not seen anything other than what Josh showed me on Courtroom Confidential. So there were a couple clips that he showed me on Courtroom Confidential. That's all I've seen of this. Just from that, obviously, I got a tiny bit of a spoiler in talking with him on Saturday. This is going to be something else. This is probably going to get a few people fired up, and it's going to be intriguing to say the least. Thank you all, by the way, who came over we're over there on Courtroom Confidential and watched over there. So, all right, portal's in place. So now you're set to go. Everything's good. All we need to do is play the music and run to lunch. There we go. As far as lunch recommendations, I'm thinking Hawaiian pineapple pizza is the way to go today. Hawaiian pineapple pizza. If you have other suggestions, maybe just pineapple itself. That'd be great. Only Funsies giving out memberships like they're going out of style. Thank you very much. Appreciate your support, Only Funsies, and thanks for the text as well. Appreciate that. Grab your portal, buddy. Soup is good. Soup's a great lunch. I might also have a chicken salad sandwich and some leftovers on a croissant bun. Congrats on being a new grandpa. Hey, it's the best thing in the world. Can't wait to actually get to meet her in person. So we have to figure out how to do that. How dare you do that to a pizza? How dare you? I truly want to be a Hawaii courtroom watcher. Can I? Haley May. You've got to find somebody that will pay you $7,000 a day to fly over there. That's the trick. Then you get to live over there and just enjoy court. Never pineapple on a pizza. Let's get some chicken salad, grapes. Ooh, had grapes, and maybe look for some. What's the other thing? Cranberries. You had cranberries in that. Become a paid hack. You have to sell your soul in some cases. All right, tonight when you go home, please hug the people you love, smile at someone, make their day just a little bit better, and please stay safe till we go live in about 45 minutes. A little less than that, about 40 minutes. We'll be live with the afternoon session. Mr. Koenig, Garrett Koenig is going to take the stand and tell his version of the events of what happened on that hike in Hawaii on the Puka Trail. You guys, join me this afternoon. Have fun until then. Be good to each other. Bye-bye.